The air was thick with a silence so complete it seemed unnatural, as if even the stones themselves were holding their breath. Deep beneath the Vatican, in corridors untouched by sunlight for centuries, a faint whisper traveled along the cold walls. Few knew of these passages, fewer still had dared to enter. And yet, legends whispered that within these shadows lay a secret so potent, so forbidden, that even the most powerful men of the Church trembled at its thought. Some spoke of a seal, ancient and unbroken, whose very existence had been erased from public record. Others claimed it carried knowledge that could challenge the foundations of faith, a truth the world was not ready to confront. Torches flickered in the distance, casting dancing shadows that seemed almost alive. Every step echoed against the stone, each footfall a reminder that this was sacred ground, yet simultaneously a place where the ordinary rules of history and morality did not apply. In this subterranean world, time itself felt suspended. The walls bore the weight of countless generations, each brick a silent witness to events no human was meant to remember. Here, centuries-old conspiracies and secrets lay buried beneath layers of ritual, politics, and blood. And among them, the story of the Templars, warrior monks whose rise to power had startled kings and shaken empires, was perhaps the most tantalizing of all. The Knights Templar were not merely soldiers or monks. They were architects of an empire built on faith, cunning, and secrecy. Their presence in Rome was whispered about in the highest corridors of power. Some chroniclers hinted at their mastery over finances, others at their knowledge of relics brought from distant lands, relics that could bend the minds of the devout or unmask the ambitions of the corrupt. And yet, despite all their influence, the most remarkable aspect of their legacy was invisible, deliberately concealed. A seal, not a stamp of authority, nor a mere symbol of devotion, but something far more profound. It was said to be a lock and a key, a silent guardian of truth so dangerous that even those who possessed it feared to speak. Legends told that on certain nights, the seal could be seen in fleeting glimpses, glowing faintly, as if it were aware of the secrets it protected. But such sightings were rare, and often recounted by men whose credibility was impossible to verify. Scholars debated whether it existed at all, or whether it was an invention of fear, a story crafted to keep curious hands away from the vaults of power. Yet even among the skeptics there was a sense of unease. The mere idea that knowledge so monumental could be deliberately hidden from the world was enough to ignite obsession, a craving to uncover what generations had been forbidden to touch. Outside these underground halls, Rome slept unaware. The city's cobblestone streets, its soaring churches, and its piazzas teemed with life. Yet beneath this veneer of normalcy, the echoes of the past stirred. The Templars had walked these streets centuries before, leaving behind faint imprints. Marks in stone, signs in architecture, cryptic symbols that survived only in whispers. To the untrained eye, they were mere decorations. Yet those who understood their significance knew they were fragments of a larger map, a trail meant to guide or mislead the seekers of truth. The silence in the corridors was interrupted by a faint scratching, almost imperceptible, as if someone or something was drawing closer. It was the kind of sound that forced the mind to question reality. Was it a rat, or was it the remnants of a centuries-old warning, still alive in some spectral way? In this place, the boundary between history and legend blurred. Every shadow could hide a clue or a trap. Every stone might bear a message intended for eyes long gone, waiting for a hand brave enough or foolish enough to read it. Here, the story of betrayal, faith, and fear began. It was a story that could not be told in daylight, for the light might burn the truth away, exposing it to the very powers that had ensured its survival through subterfuge, intimidation, and secrecy. Those who had sought the Templar legacy before had vanished into obscurity, their names erased, their discoveries buried beneath layers of sanctioned history. Yet the whispers endured, passing from one seeker to another, carrying fragments of a secret that demanded attention, that compelled discovery. And so the corridors waited. They waited for the one willing to trace the paths of the Templars, to confront the echoes of betrayal, and to gaze upon the seal that had defied time itself. What lay beyond was not merely a key to the past. It was a mirror to the human soul, reflecting the ambitions, fears, and desires that had shaped the destinies of men and kingdoms. In the shadows, a question lingered, silent, persistent, and unavoidable. What secret was so powerful that it had to be hidden, not for years, but for centuries, beneath the very heart of the Church? The answer, some feared, would change everything. Long before the shadows beneath the Vatican whispered of forbidden secrets, there were men who carved their names into history with sword and faith, the Knights Templar. Their story did not begin with glory, nor with riches, but with devotion, poverty, and a singular, unshakable purpose. They were warriors bound by holy vows, sworn to protect pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, and yet, their journey would take them far beyond the dusty roads of Jerusalem, to the courts of kings, and eventually, to the heart of Rome itself. The Templars' rise was as astonishing as it was swift. They began as a small band of knights, barely more than a handful of men, their armor clanking in the dry winds of the desert. Their mission seemed simple: protect the faithful and uphold the sacred ideals of the Church. But their discipline, their courage, and their cunning elevated them to something more than mere protectors. They became the instruments of a new power. Wealth flowed to them from grateful pilgrims, from monarchs seeking their loyalty, and from secretive patrons whose intentions were as opaque as the deserts they crossed. By the time they reached the shores of Europe, the order had transformed. They were no longer just monks with swords. They were an unstoppable force, feared by armies and envied by kings. Yet, their most astonishing conquest was not territorial nor even martial, it was financial. The Templars invented a form of medieval banking that astounded contemporaries. Pilgrims could deposit money in one city and withdraw it in another, a network of trust so sophisticated that even monarchs relied upon it. Fortresses became not just military strongholds but vaults of unimaginable wealth. They held gold, silver, and treasures plundered or donated. Yet the real treasure was knowledge, maps, manuscripts, and artifacts carried back from the East. Among these relics were whispers of secrets older than the Church itself, hints of knowledge so potent that it could shift power, faith, and destiny. Rome, the eternal city, became an inevitable magnet for the Templars' influence. Their arrival in the city was a quiet one, yet it left ripples that could be felt centuries later. They did not seek recognition. They preferred to move unseen, like shadows passing between the papal courts and the merchant guilds. But shadows can be felt, and their presence was impossible to ignore for long. Kings and popes, intrigued and unsettled, watched as this band of warrior monks accumulated power beyond expectation. Some admired them, others feared them, and a few, those who coveted the same treasures or knowledge, would later plot their undoing. The Templars were paradoxes in human form. They were sworn to poverty, yet they became the wealthiest order in Christendom. They took vows of obedience, yet their reach and influence rivaled that of kings. They pledged to protect the holy, yet they often wielded power that could determine the fates of kingdoms. It was this tension, between devotion and ambition, faith and worldly influence, that made them both revered and reviled. It was also this tension that would make the secrets they carried more dangerous than any sword, more valuable than any treasure. Among the Templars, there were men who believed their mission transcended mere protection of pilgrims. Some whispered of a destiny revealed through sacred relics, a path illuminated by knowledge hidden from the common world. Others feared what they had seen, the power contained in objects brought from Jerusalem, objects that could inspire devotion or terror. And the stories of these objects, carried in whispers and hidden manuscripts, would survive centuries of persecution, betrayal, and secrecy. They became legends, fragments of a puzzle that, when assembled, hinted at a truth the Church feared more than death itself. It was this duality, faith and ambition, loyalty and secrecy, that allowed the Templars to rise so quickly, yet also sowed the seeds of their downfall. Their success attracted envy and suspicion in equal measure. Kings saw their power and coveted it. Popes, wary of influence outside their control, grew uneasy, and ordinary men, unaware of the depths of Templar knowledge, sensed only that these monks were unlike any others, disciplined, mysterious, and impossibly capable. By the early 1300s, their glory had become a lightning rod, drawing the fury of those who feared what they could not understand. Yet, even in their ascent, the Templars did not forget the core of their order. They were knights, monks, and guardians. Their courage in battle was legendary, their devotion to their brothers unshakable. Stories of their feats traveled across kingdoms, carried by pilgrims and merchants, chronicled in letters and song. They were more than men. They were symbols of an ideal, a living paradox of the medieval world. Humble yet powerful, holy yet dangerous, devoted yet ambitious. And it was in this crucible of contradictions that they encountered the first whispers of the secret that would outlive them all. A seal, a code, a truth buried in Rome, guarded by faith and fear alike. No one knew how the Templars first came to hear of it, only that by the time they reached the papal city, their path was already intertwined with shadows, symbols, and objects whose power was undeniable. They were no longer just knights. They were custodians of a secret so profound that it would define their legacy, for better or worse. In Rome, amid the marble and incense of the churches, the cobblestones and corridors of the streets, the Templars' presence was invisible but undeniable, a subtle imprint upon the city that would last long after their arrests, their trials, and their executions. And yet, the most astonishing aspect of the Templar legacy was invisible, even to the historians who later chronicled their rise and fall. Their true power was not the wealth they accumulated, nor the battles they won, nor the fortresses they commanded. It was the knowledge they carried, an inheritance older than Christendom, carefully guarded, coded, and buried beneath layers of secrecy. And in Rome, it awaited those who would follow the path, trace the marks, and uncover the truth. Buried beneath layers of legend and dust, there was talk of a codex that few had ever glimpsed, and fewer still had dared to touch. Scholars whispered of it in the quiet corners of libraries. Monks mentioned it only in guarded conversations, and even the wealthiest collectors of manuscripts could not account for its existence. They called it the Forbidden Codex. It was said to contain the distilled knowledge of the Templars, secrets carried from Jerusalem and beyond, secrets powerful enough to challenge kings, popes, and perhaps even the foundation of the Church itself. But what made it forbidden was not just the knowledge within, it was the fear it inspired. The Codex was more than ink and parchment. It was a vessel of destiny, a silent key to truths that most were not prepared to face. Legends described the Codex as small yet deceptively heavy, bound in leather worn smooth by centuries of hands that had barely dared to trace its surface. Some claimed its pages were filled with diagrams of cryptic symbols, maps of locations no longer identifiable, and illustrations that hinted at rituals, relics, and relics within relics. Others insisted it contained coded instructions, formulas for uncovering power hidden in plain sight, knowledge meant to be unlocked only by those with the wisdom and courage to understand. And yet, it was not meant for the world. The Templars, in their final days, hid it with painstaking care, scattering clues in whispers, carvings, and symbols that could survive the passage of time, but remain indecipherable to the uninitiated. The origins of the Codex were murky, entwined with the Templars' journeys to the East. During the Crusades, they had come into contact with ancient orders, learned secret philosophies, and encountered relics of civilizations older than Europe itself. Some claimed the Codex contained knowledge drawn from these encounters. Measurements of sacred architecture, interpretations of cryptic symbols, and instructions for safeguarding truths that might otherwise topple empires. To the outside world, these were mere curiosities, obscure and academic. But to the Templars, they were a blueprint of power and protection, a roadmap to ensure that the Order's knowledge could survive even if its members were hunted, tortured, or executed. Stories of the Codex were intertwined with whispers of the seal, a mysterious emblem believed to safeguard the most dangerous knowledge. Some claimed the Codex and the seal were inseparable, that one unlocked the other, that the writings of the Codex contained instructions for understanding, or even accessing, the power the seal concealed. Others suggested the Codex might lead to locations within Rome, hidden chambers beneath churches, and secret vaults in the Vatican itself. The very idea of it sent shivers through those who dared speculate, for it implied that the Templars' influence had never truly vanished, that their guardianship of sacred secrets persisted in silence, awaiting rediscovery. Attempts to locate the codex had always ended in frustration. Manuscripts would vanish, libraries would deny having any record, and scholars who delved too deeply were often met with warnings, subtle threats or veiled admonitions that their curiosity might be dangerous. Some disappeared entirely, leaving behind only fragments of notes hinting that the codex was real, that it existed somewhere beneath Rome, or perhaps in a monastery long forgotten. Yet, every disappearance only added to the codex's mystique. It was the ultimate puzzle, tantalizing, unreachable, and meticulously guarded by time itself. Its allure was not merely academic. The codex promised knowledge that could change the course of belief, challenge sacred traditions, and reveal truths long obscured by fear and politics. Within its pages, according to rumor, were the instructions for understanding sacred relics, the location of objects considered holy but lost to history, and perhaps even hints about the fate of the Templar Order after its official dissolution. Those who studied it were said to be gripped by obsession, unable to turn away once they glimpsed a fragment of its power. The Templars had intended this, ensuring that only those who were relentless, patient, and morally resolute could ever hope to uncover its secrets. Rome itself seemed to harbor traces of the codex. Some scholars noted symbols in churches, patterns in mosaics, or engravings on stones that mirrored sketches described in second-hand accounts. Others believed the codex contained references to the labyrinth beneath St. Peter's Basilica, corridors and chambers that had long been off-limits, their doors sealed by decree of the popes themselves. The idea that the codex might act as a key, or at least a guide, through these hidden spaces was enough to send generations of seekers into quiet frenzy, chasing shadows and fragments of truth. And yet, the codex remained elusive. Some argued that its very elusiveness was intentional, a test of human desire and intellect. The Templars had survived the centuries not merely through strength, but through subtlety, ensuring that their secrets would not be seized by those unworthy or unprepared. The codex, therefore, was not only a collection of writings. It was a guardian of wisdom, a sieve through which only the most dedicated and perceptive could pass. Every rumor, every fragment, every whispered story was a breadcrumb, a challenge left by men who knew they would not survive, yet wanted their knowledge to endure. To approach the codex was to step into a web of history, ambition, and danger. It demanded not just curiosity, but courage, the willingness to question authority, to question faith, and to confront the possibility that the world one knew was only a fraction of what truly existed. And the deeper one delved, the more one realized that the codex was not merely a book, but a reflection of the human heart, its capacity for devotion, obsession, and discovery. Some nights, it is said, the codex could be glimpsed in dreams or visions, its pages shimmering faintly in candlelight, its symbols shifting just enough to hint at secrets that were never fully revealed. Those who returned from such encounters were forever changed, driven to seek the codex in the waking world, haunted by fragments of knowledge they barely understood. It was this magnetic pull, this interplay of fear and fascination, that ensured the codex would remain a legend for centuries. And in Rome, where the Templars had once walked unseen, the whispers of its presence persisted, echoing through hidden corridors and under stone floors, promising discovery to anyone daring enough to follow. The Forbidden Codex was more than an artifact. It was a testament to human ambition, faith, and the enduring power of secrecy. And in the hands of those who understood its true meaning, it could illuminate history, or upend it entirely. Rome is a city built on layers, each century stacked atop the last, creating a labyrinth where the past refuses to die. Streets wind like serpents between marble columns, and beneath those streets lie corridors that most citizens will never see, tunnels and chambers hidden from maps, doors sealed for reasons long forgotten. It is here, deep beneath the surface, that whispers of the Templars and their forbidden knowledge echo most strongly. Some corridors lead only to darkness. Others, legends claim, were deliberately constructed to protect secrets so potent that the Church itself feared their exposure. Walking through these shadowed passages, one can almost feel the weight of centuries pressing down. The walls, damp with the breath of history, seem alive with the touch of those who once passed this way. Etched into the stone are signs no ordinary eye would notice. Faint markings, cryptic symbols, initials carved in haste, or carefully positioned symbols whose meaning has been lost to time. To an untrained observer, they are mere scratches, the result of careless hands or builders' whims. Yet to those who understand, they are breadcrumbs, guides meant for the few who dare to follow the Templar path into Rome's hidden underworld. The labyrinth beneath St. Peter's Basilica is perhaps the most enigmatic of all. Its corridors twist unpredictably, opening into chambers whose purpose is debated even by modern archaeologists. Some claim these rooms were burial sites for early popes. Others insist they held treasures, both spiritual and material, brought to Rome over centuries. But among the most persistent rumors is that one chamber contained a secret the Templars had safeguarded before their fall, the path to the Hidden Seal. If this is true, then the very foundation of the Vatican was more than a spiritual center. It was a fortress protecting knowledge that could destabilize kingdoms and faith alike. The air in these tunnels is different, charged with an almost imperceptible tension. Moisture clings to the walls, and the faint sound of dripping water seems amplified in the stillness. Echoes distort footsteps, making the corridors feel alive, as if they are observing every movement. It is easy to imagine that the Templars themselves walked here centuries ago, their cloaks brushing against the stone, hands resting lightly on hilts of swords or keys to secret chambers. And perhaps they were not alone. Histories speak of allies and spies, loyal and treacherous, who moved through these passages, ensuring that knowledge was carried safely, or sometimes misdirected entirely. Every inch of Rome above these corridors is layered with history designed to obscure what lies beneath. Churches built atop Roman temples, streets following the patterns of forgotten aqueducts, and palaces masking tunnels below are all part of a deliberate architecture of secrecy. The Templars, it is said, understood this intimately. Their knowledge of construction, geometry, and symbolism allowed them to embed markers in plain sight, clues that would survive the centuries, unnoticed by the untrained eye. A mosaic here, a carved stone there. Each was a message, a direction, or a warning, preserved for those who had both the wisdom and courage to decipher it. Some passages were designed not just to hide, but to protect. Doors crafted with precision locks, chambers reinforced with stone, and stairways that led to dead ends all served as safeguards. It was a combination of faith and cunning. Spiritual devotion gave them purpose, and strategic intelligence allowed them to implement it. It was this delicate balance of knowledge and secrecy that made the Templars such formidable custodians of hidden truths. And even after the order's dissolution, their influence lingered, imprinted into the very veins of Rome's underworld. Legends speak of the corridors as both protective and punitive. Those who sought to abuse the knowledge supposedly hidden within were met with obstacles. Passages that twisted impossibly, doors that refused to open, traps that could end lives or obscure the path forever. Others, deemed worthy or desperate enough, could find their way to chambers where manuscripts, relics, or symbols awaited. These stories, whether true or embellished over time, reinforced the aura of danger and reverence surrounding the underground Templar network. Every tunnel, every hidden door, became part of a narrative where courage and intellect were tested against centuries of secrecy. Yet the labyrinth was more than a series of physical challenges. It was a metaphor for the Templar legacy itself. Layered, enigmatic, and impossible to fully comprehend at a glance. To understand it required patience, attention, and an acceptance that not everything revealed its meaning immediately. Some scholars believed the tunnels contained symbolic alignments with sacred geometry, echoing cosmic patterns meant to guide or protect. Others suggested that certain chambers acted as memory vaults, preserving encoded knowledge in architecture and design, accessible only to those initiated into the Templar wisdom. Even today, researchers, historians, and the occasionally brave adventurer attempt to trace these hidden paths. Many fail, encountering only dead ends or historical obfuscation. Others report glimpses of symbols on walls, faint markings that suggest a connection to the Templar codices or to Rome's sacred relics. There is an unspoken thrill in such discoveries. The sense that the past is alive, that knowledge once thought lost is still within reach, if only one can decode the language of stone and shadow. And so, the corridors wait, patient and silent, holding their secrets beneath the weight of history. They are both a challenge and an invitation. They invite the daring to trace the paths of men who lived, fought, and died for something greater than themselves. A secret so potent that its existence demanded centuries of concealment. As footsteps echo and torches flicker in the darkness, one realizes that the journey is not merely through tunnels, but through time itself. Each corridor is a thread connecting the past to the present, the Templars to those who still seek their truths, and the hidden seal to the world above, oblivious to the mysteries beneath its streets. In these shadowed corridors, one question lingers more insistently than any other. What has survived centuries of secrecy, betrayal, and fear, hidden just below the surface of a city that defines power and faith? And more importantly, who will be brave enough to uncover it? Beneath layers of marble, stone, and centuries of devotion, there exists a seal that few have seen and even fewer have survived to describe. It is not merely a stamp of authority or a symbol of ecclesiastical power. It is something older, something heavier with meaning than any papal edict or knightly crest. Legends call it the Vatican Seal, a guardian of secrets so profound that even the most powerful men of Rome tread carefully in its presence. Some say it was crafted by the Templars themselves, a relic of their brilliance and ambition, designed to endure long after their order had been crushed under accusations, torture, and betrayal. The seal's physical description is shrouded in myth. Some accounts describe it as a disc of gold, etched with symbols so intricate that they seem to shift under the gaze, as if the patterns themselves were alive. Others suggest it bears inscriptions in a forgotten language, one known only to a handful of scholars and lost to the passage of time. But whether it is gold, silver, or an unknown alloy, the power attributed to it is undeniable. It was said to secure not just doors or documents, but knowledge itself. Those who possessed it or even glimpsed it understood that it was a lock, a key, and a warning all in one. Stories of the seal's purpose are as varied as they are unsettling. Some claim it was designed to protect sacred relics, the kind brought from distant lands by crusaders, relics that could inspire devotion or provoke destruction. Others suggest it contains encoded instructions, a map of symbols pointing to locations that could destabilize kingdoms or reveal truths long hidden by the Church. To touch it, even accidentally, was considered dangerous, a risk not just of physical harm, but of spiritual or mental unraveling. The Templars, in their wisdom and fear, ensured that only those who could withstand the burden of knowledge could ever hope to approach it. The seal is also tied intimately to the codices and artifacts the Templars carried from the East. It is said to respond to symbols drawn from these texts, as if the two, the seal and the manuscripts, were halves of a single, incomprehensible puzzle. Imagine a room beneath Rome, where a knight, centuries ago, pressed an intricate medallion against a stone slab, whispering prayers and incantations to unlock a truth beyond human comprehension. That room may still exist, its purpose obscured by layers of history, its doorway sealed, its knowledge waiting for a hand capable of unlocking it. Even the most meticulous records of the Vatican hint at its existence without revealing its nature. Some documents describe the seal as eternal or sacred beyond measure, while others are far more ominous, warning that the knowledge it guards is not for mortal minds. Throughout history, popes and cardinals have been warned in secret councils about the consequences of tampering with it. Some believe the seal held the power to reveal the deepest secrets of the Templars, including the location of relics, hidden treasures, or even a knowledge that could challenge the foundations of faith itself. It was both a treasure and a curse, and its mystery has endured across centuries. The Templars' downfall only increased the seal's mystique. After the arrests in 1307, when kings and inquisitors conspired to erase the order, rumors persisted that the seal was removed, hidden, or disguised, and that its knowledge was divided among trusted knights. Some say the seal was smuggled into Rome, placed beneath the very foundations of the Church that had once sanctioned the Templars' existence. Others insist it was hidden in plain sight, its symbols disguised within the mosaics, frescoes, and architecture of sacred spaces. Every step taken to destroy the order seemed to only ensure the survival of their ultimate secret. To approach the seal in imagination or in reality is to confront the weight of history itself. The Templars believed in their mission so profoundly that they were willing to risk everything to protect it. Their lives, their loyalty, and their very existence were intertwined with this object, and the seal became both a symbol and a safeguard of their enduring influence. Those who have studied the accounts of witnesses, chroniclers, and scholars note a recurring theme: reverence mixed with fear. It is not just the secrecy that is compelling, but the suggestion that the seal itself might be conscious, a silent sentinel observing, judging, and preserving the knowledge entrusted to it. Legends say that in certain chambers, the seal emits a faint hum, or a glow that pulses rhythmically, as if breathing. Few have seen it in such a state, and those who have returned changed, haunted by visions, overwhelmed by a sense of incomprehensible power. Some historians dismiss these stories as exaggeration, products of superstition and myth. Others, however, argue that even if the hum and glow are metaphorical, they indicate the seal's extraordinary influence on those who pursue it. It is not merely a physical object. It is a test, a challenge, and a guide for those seeking the Templars' hidden truths. The Vatican Seal's enduring mystery also invites a human element: desire, greed, courage, and fear. Over centuries, countless men have sought it, from scholars to adventurers, from popes to thieves. Each encounter, or even the mere rumor of its existence, sets hearts racing and minds plotting. Yet all who approach it are confronted with a deeper realization. The seal is not a prize to be possessed lightly. It carries responsibility, consequence, and the weight of knowledge that can alter not just one life, but the course of history. In the end, the seal is more than a piece of metal or a symbol carved in stone. It is a guardian of truths, a keeper of knowledge, and a silent witness to centuries of faith, ambition, and betrayal. It embodies the paradox of the Templars themselves: devotion intertwined with power, secrecy paired with enlightenment, and courage shadowed by fear. And beneath the streets of Rome, in corridors hidden from time, it waits, waiting for the one who will finally trace the paths of history, confront the shadows, and stand before a truth so potent that it has endured long beyond the lives of those who created it. The night of the Templars' fall was unlike any other in European history, a night soaked in fear, betrayal, and the cold, calculated cruelty of power. October 13th, 1307, is a date forever etched in whispers and chronicles alike, not merely as a day of arrests, but as a turning point where loyalty, faith, and human ambition collided in a deadly storm. The knights, once revered as paragons of devotion and courage, were suddenly hunted by the very kings and popes they had served. Their citadels, fortified against armies, were rendered vulnerable by the subtle treachery of men they once trusted. And at the heart of it all was the knowledge they carried, the secrets so potent that rulers deemed them dangerous, their very lives expendable to keep those truths hidden. Imagine the scene: torches flickering against ancient stone walls, shadows dancing like phantoms across the faces of men who had devoted their lives to God. The air was thick with tension, each echo a reminder that betrayal was close and mercy distant. The knights were not unprepared, but they were caught in a web spun with precision, a web of political intrigue and greed. Royal agents, armed with lists of names and letters of accusation, swept through the order's holdings, taking men into custody with brutal efficiency. They were arrested on charges of heresy, blasphemy, and sodomy, accusations designed not only to justify their removal, but to tarnish their legacy for centuries to come. In the cells, fear took many forms. Some knights confessed under the weight of torture, their voices breaking as they revealed truths and secrets that may or may not have been genuine. Others held fast, their silence a testament to devotion, courage, and perhaps fear of the consequences beyond death. The interrogators were relentless, wielding instruments of pain with surgical precision. Hands were twisted, bones were broken, and minds were tested to the brink of collapse. Every confession extracted, every lie fabricated under duress, served the purpose of dismantling an order that had become too powerful, too enigmatic, and too dangerous in the eyes of rulers who could not understand its depths. Yet betrayal came not only from the outside. Among the Templars themselves, cracks formed in the face of unimaginable pressure. Some knights, desperate to preserve life or wealth, divulged fragments of what they knew. Others, loyal to their brothers, refused, even as the world crumbled around them. The Order's code, so rigid and disciplined in the deserts of the Holy Land, faltered under the weight of deceit and fear. Families who had long trusted their sons, brothers, and fathers to the Order's mission were forced to watch as reputations, honor, and bloodlines were destroyed in the span of a single night. But the stakes were far greater than the men themselves. It was not gold, land, or titles that made the Templars' knowledge dangerous. It was the secrets they carried, artifacts and documents that could challenge the foundations of faith and power. Some whispered that among the confiscated items were relics from the East, cryptic manuscripts, and perhaps even traces of the seal itself. And so, the betrayal was as much about controlling knowledge as it was about punishing men. Those who orchestrated the arrests understood that the Templars' destruction needed to be complete, leaving no one alive to remember, to speak, or to reclaim what had been entrusted to the Order. In the streets of Paris, Rome, and beyond, the events sent ripples of fear and uncertainty. The knights, once a symbol of protection and devotion, had become ghosts in the minds of those who had revered them. Rumors spread of torture chambers where men cried out in the darkness, of secret executions, and of documents deliberately destroyed or hidden. Some accounts tell of knights who vanished entirely, their bodies never found, as if the shadows themselves had claimed them. These vanishings fueled speculation that the most dangerous knowledge, the codices, relics, and perhaps even the seal, had been spirited away, hidden to survive the purge. The human drama of the night was not limited to the Templars themselves. Families, allies, and even rival nobles were implicated. Letters burned, whispers recorded, and allegiances tested. The Church, balancing faith and politics, cast a careful hand, using the accusations to justify the suppression while distancing itself from direct culpability. Kings, seeking to erase debt or consolidate power, moved with ruthless efficiency. And in the midst of this, the Templars, bound by vows of obedience and courage, faced the ultimate test. Would they preserve the secrets they had sworn to protect, even as the world sought to erase them? It is in these moments that the true character of the Order emerges. Stories from the trials reveal men who stared death in the face without flinching, who whispered cryptic warnings, and who safeguarded knowledge even under unimaginable pain. Others, less fortunate, succumbed to fear or manipulation, providing the authorities with just enough information to control what was left. Each act of betrayal, each moment of courage, added layers to a story that would haunt Europe for centuries. The fall of the Templars was more than a historical event. It was a crucible of human emotion, faith tested by fear, loyalty challenged by temptation, and courage weighed against survival. It set the stage for the enduring mystery of their legacy, ensuring that whispers of the seal, the codices, and the hidden chambers beneath Rome would survive long after the knights themselves had been executed, imprisoned, or scattered. Their blood stained the floors of Paris, but their secrets flowed onward, carried by those who understood that the knowledge itself was more enduring than the lives that guarded it. Even today, the memory of that night reverberates. It is not merely the injustice or brutality that captivates historians and enthusiasts alike. It is the sense of unfinished business, the knowledge that some truths, so carefully guarded, may still exist, hidden beneath layers of stone, secrecy, and silence. And in the shadows, beneath the streets and churches of Rome, one can almost feel the echo of that fateful night, the tension of betrayal, the courage of loyalty, and the enduring presence of a secret so powerful that even centuries of oppression could not fully extinguish it. The Templars fell, yes, but they did not vanish. In every hidden corridor, in every cryptic symbol, in every whisper of the past, they left a trace of what they had protected. And at the heart of it all, the seal, forgotten by time but remembered by those who dared to seek, remained, silent and vigilant, waiting for the moment when its truth might finally be revealed. Beneath the bustling streets of Rome, beneath the churches, palaces, and piazzas teeming with life, a hidden world stretches in silence. A world that few dare to enter and even fewer can navigate. These are the secret passageways, the veins of the city that carry echoes of centuries past. Cobblestones above conceal corridors carved with precision, staircases spiraling into darkness, and chambers whose purpose was deliberately obscured. For the Templars, these passageways were more than hiding places. They were arteries of power, conduits for secrets, and sanctuaries where knowledge and faith intertwined in a dangerous equilibrium. To understand these corridors is to understand the Templars' genius. They were not merely warriors, they were strategists, architects, and cryptographers. They studied the city, its foundations, and its underground topography with an attention that bordered on obsession. Every stone placed above ground was matched with a consideration below. Every chapel, shrine, or palace became a potential node in a network designed to conceal and protect. And the secrets of the Templars, relics, manuscripts, and the ultimate seal, were integrated into this living web, hidden in plain sight yet accessible only to those who knew where to look. The passageways themselves are as varied as they are treacherous. Some are narrow tunnels, barely wide enough to squeeze through, lined with rough stone that presses uncomfortably against the skin. Others open into chambers with vaulted ceilings, silent and cavernous, echoing even the softest footstep. Many contain dead ends, false doors, and cleverly disguised traps, measures meant to protect the knowledge within and mislead the uninitiated. It is said that some corridors are aligned with sacred geometry, creating spaces where light falls in unusual ways, illuminating symbols only at certain times, on certain days, or under specific circumstances. These were not mistakes. They were calculated, deliberate designs meant to protect and to communicate centuries before modern surveillance. Legends suggest that the Templars used these passageways for a variety of purposes. Beyond hiding from persecution, they transported relics and documents in secrecy, ensuring that knowledge critical to their order survived even under siege. They held clandestine meetings, rituals, and ceremonies far from prying eyes. Some rooms may have served as libraries or archives, meticulously catalogued, yet inaccessible to those without guidance. And in the deepest recesses, some say, lie chambers containing artifacts whose power, if unleashed, could alter the perception of faith itself. The Templars were not the only ones aware of these passageways. Over the centuries, popes, cardinals, and even certain kings learned of their existence, though few dared to traverse them. The knowledge was both a temptation and a threat. To the unworthy, the corridors were perilous, filled with traps and illusions. To the prepared, they offered pathways to understanding, relics, and glimpses of a power long hidden. It was this balance, protection through secrecy, that allowed the Templars' legacy to endure beyond their physical destruction. Even today, explorers and historians who have ventured into these underground networks speak of the atmosphere, a heavy, almost tangible presence, as though the walls themselves remember the footsteps of those who once walked before. The air is damp, carrying the scent of stone and earth. Shadows stretch in impossible directions, and silence dominates, broken only by the occasional drip of water or the distant rumble of the city above. In such spaces, imagination and reality blur. It is easy to feel that one is not merely walking beneath Rome, but stepping into history itself, where every step might bring one closer to a revelation the world has long forgotten. Some passageways are cleverly disguised, with entrances hidden behind false walls, beneath altar stones, or beneath libraries and archives. In some instances, staircases spiral into darkness, accessible only to those who understand the patterns left by the Templars. Maps drawn in secret code, symbols etched into marble, or the alignment of mosaics and frescoes often served as guides. Only those who could interpret these signs, who could see the invisible language of the Templars, could navigate the labyrinth successfully. For centuries, this system functioned as both shield and guide, ensuring that the most powerful secrets survived even as the order itself was dismantled. The passageways also carry stories of danger and intrigue. Some suggest that not all who ventured below survived. There were those who became lost in the twisting corridors, never to emerge again. Others recount encounters with guardians, mechanical traps, intricate locks, or even human sentinels, sworn to protect the knowledge within. And in every legend, there is a recurring theme. The corridors are alive, not with spirits, but with the memory of human ambition, faith, and the desperate desire to protect what cannot be easily claimed. It is here, amid the twisting stone and silence, that the Templars' most critical secret, the Vatican Seal, was hidden. The seal was never meant to be easily found. Its guardianship was as intricate as the passages themselves. To reach it required courage, patience, intellect, and, above all, respect for the power contained within. Every false passage, every cleverly disguised door, and every symbol was a test, a filter designed to ensure that only those worthy of the knowledge could claim it. And even then, many would find that the journey through the corridors was only the beginning, the first trial in a larger pursuit of truth. In understanding the secret passageways, one begins to see the Templars not merely as knights or monks, but as custodians of something far greater than themselves. Their genius lay not just in martial skill or spiritual devotion, but in foresight, the creation of a hidden infrastructure to preserve knowledge across time, persecution, and the collapse of their order. Each corridor, chamber, and marking was a deliberate act of preservation, a whisper across the centuries that said, "This truth will endure." Walking these tunnels today, one cannot help but feel the weight of the past pressing down. The faint echoes of armored footsteps, whispered prayers, and hurried secrets seem to linger in the air. It is as if the Templars, though long gone, still watch, still guide, still protect the knowledge entrusted to them. And among the many questions that arise, one stands above all. Will the secrets of these passageways, the relics and codices, and ultimately the Vatican Seal itself, ever be fully revealed to the world? Or will they remain hidden, a testament to an order whose genius and courage defied time itself? Beneath the marble floors and gilded altars of the Vatican lies a world that few outsiders have ever glimpsed. A labyrinth of hidden chambers, silent corridors, and vaulted rooms untouched by the passing centuries. These spaces are not merely storage areas or forgotten basements. They are sanctuaries of secrecy, deliberately constructed to guard knowledge, relics, and artifacts whose power was considered too great or too dangerous for the uninitiated. For the Templars, these hidden chambers were the heart of their legacy, the final resting place of treasures that spoke not just of faith, but of human ambition, devotion, and the pursuit of understanding beyond the ordinary. The chambers themselves are marvels of design, blending functionality, concealment, and symbolism. Some are carved directly from bedrock, their walls rough but solid, echoing footsteps in ways that suggest presence even when none exists. Others are crafted with precision, featuring doors that align with celestial patterns, keyholes hidden within religious iconography, and walls that contain recesses large enough to store manuscripts, relics, or sacred objects. Every chamber, every door, every corridor was intentionally placed, a deliberate act of protection. Nothing here is accidental. Every element is calculated to preserve the knowledge and power entrusted to it. The air in these hidden rooms carries a sense of permanence. It is cool, dry, and thick with the smell of stone and history. Light, when it enters, filters through narrow slits or carefully positioned openings, creating shadows that dance in ways that seem almost sentient. In some chambers, mosaics on the floor reflect designs that echo those in distant Templar sites, patterns meant to communicate, guide, or encode information in a language long forgotten. These were not merely aesthetic choices, they were markers, messages for those who could decipher their meaning. Every symbol, every placement, served a dual purpose: protection and revelation. Legends suggest that the most sacred of these chambers were reserved for the Vatican Seal and the Templar codices. These rooms were said to contain treasures beyond gold and silver, manuscripts filled with knowledge from the East, maps indicating secret routes beneath Rome, and instructions for safeguarding objects of immense spiritual and temporal power. The Templars had an understanding of the world that extended beyond warfare. They understood architecture, cryptography, and preservation. Their hidden chambers were physical manifestations of this understanding, a network of spaces designed to endure persecution, concealment, and the passage of time. Access to these chambers was never simple. Some doors could only be opened with keys known to a select few. Others required knowledge of hidden levers or pressure points, while still others could be revealed only by aligning symbols in precise order. The design itself was a challenge. Even if one knew the location, one could not simply walk in. The chambers were tests, designed to determine worthiness, patience, and intellect. Those who failed could become trapped, lost in corridors that twisted and spiraled unpredictably, or inadvertently trigger mechanisms that concealed their passage forever. The secrecy of these spaces is mirrored in the Vatican's historical records. While official documents hint at hidden libraries and archives, they provide no specifics, leaving the truth to be pieced together from fragments, anecdotes, and legends. Some reports describe rooms sealed for centuries, their entrances masked by statues, tapestries, or false walls. Others mention subterranean corridors that connect multiple wings of the Vatican, allowing the discreet movement of documents and objects without ever being observed. Even popes and cardinals, it is said, tread lightly around these chambers, respecting their sanctity and the power of the knowledge contained within. The human drama surrounding these chambers is as compelling as the architecture itself. Over centuries, many have attempted to access them, whether out of curiosity, devotion, or ambition. Some succeeded, leaving records, notes, or sketches of what they encountered. Others failed, their efforts thwarted by complexity, traps, or the sheer weight of secrecy. And all the while, the Templars' presence, though centuries removed, was felt in the design, in the precision, and in the careful preservation of every object and symbol. These chambers are more than rooms. They are the Templars' message across time, a reminder that knowledge and power must be safeguarded, even at great personal risk. It is in these chambers, according to legend, that the Vatican Seal was kept for centuries. A disc of gold or bronze, inscribed with cryptic symbols and sacred geometry, it was more than an artifact. It was a guardian. Some say it held the key to the codices, linking knowledge, ritual, and relics in ways that few could comprehend. The chambers housing it were designed to amplify this protection, with architecture, symbols, and traps all working in harmony. To approach the seal was to confront both history and human ambition, a reminder that the Templars' legacy was not merely martial, but intellectual, spiritual, and strategic. The interplay of secrecy and symbolism in these chambers is remarkable. Floors and ceilings encode messages, mosaics align with astronomical phenomena, and statues conceal openings. Even the tiniest detail, an engraving on a door, a notch in a stone, or a painted symbol, could be a clue to unlocking the next level of understanding. These layers of protection ensured that the chambers were not just hiding places, but living puzzles, designed to challenge generations of seekers. Only those who approached with respect, knowledge, and patience could hope to navigate the labyrinth successfully. And yet, even the most carefully constructed chambers cannot prevent curiosity from growing. Over the centuries, explorers, scholars, and adventurers have tried to penetrate these hidden rooms, driven by the allure of knowledge and the Templars' enduring mystique. Every attempt, successful or failed, adds to the narrative of mystery, reinforcing the chamber's reputation as spaces where history, faith, and secrecy converge. They are physical manifestations of a truth that the Templars sought to protect, that knowledge is power, and power is a responsibility, and sometimes a danger. In the end, the hidden chambers of the Vatican are a testament to human ingenuity, devotion, and the lengths men will go to protect what they hold sacred. They remind us that beneath the grandeur and authority of Rome lies a world untouched by time, where shadows preserve the whispers of those who came before. And within those shadows, the Templars' greatest secrets, codices, relics, and the Vatican Seal itself, await those bold enough to uncover them, promising revelation, danger, and the enduring weight of history. Among the most tantalizing whispers of the Templars' legacy are the lost relics, sacred artifacts carried from the Holy Land, hidden beneath centuries of stone and secrecy, and preserved in places so well guarded that few today can even guess at their location. These relics were not mere symbols of faith. They were vessels of history, embodiments of devotion, and sometimes objects of power whose significance transcended human understanding. From the lance said to pierce the side of Christ to fragments of the true cross, from illuminated manuscripts filled with forgotten knowledge to ceremonial treasures imbued with sacred symbolism, each relic tells a story, not only of the divine but of the men who risked everything to protect it. The Templars, having traversed deserts, sieged cities, and navigated treacherous politics, understood the gravity of their mission. Their role was not only martial but custodial, to safeguard relics that could inspire faith, manipulate rulers, or ignite conflict. Every artifact they brought back from the East was catalogued, concealed, and protected within hidden chambers, secret passageways, or fortified strongholds. Their meticulous attention to security is evident in the elaborate systems they devised, ensuring that even if the order fell, the relics themselves would survive, hidden from the eyes of those who might misuse them. Legends speak of relics so powerful that their mere presence could alter the course of events. A chalice, for instance, rumored to be the Holy Grail, was said to confer spiritual clarity and insight to the one deemed worthy. Maps found alongside codices hinted at locations where sacred objects were buried, protected by cryptic symbols and complex locks, blending religious devotion with mathematical precision. The Templars' knowledge of geometry, astronomy, and secret codes ensured that only those who shared their understanding, or could decipher the intricate clues, might find the treasures. Every relic, therefore, was both a sacred object and a puzzle, designed to survive centuries while guarding the truths it contained. The fall of the Templars intensified the mystique of these relics. As the order was dismantled, some of the artifacts were seized by kings, popes, or rival orders. Others vanished entirely, spirited away by loyal knights who refused to let the treasures fall into the hands of their enemies. Stories abound of knights fleeing into Europe with chests of sacred objects, disappearing into the mountains, or hiding in abbeys and monasteries where the knowledge of their contents was encoded in symbols and cryptic writings. Even today, scholars debate which artifacts still exist, where they are hidden, and whether their secrets have been unlocked or remain eternally concealed. The human element of these relics is as compelling as their sacred nature. Possession of a relic was not simply about wealth or prestige, it was about power, faith, and influence. Some popes and kings reportedly went to great lengths to acquire them, aware that an object associated with the divine could sway the masses, confer legitimacy, or even intimidate rivals. The Templars' vigilance in safeguarding these items was therefore not merely pious but strategic, understanding that the loss of a single artifact could have consequences far beyond the battlefield. Every knight who bore a relic in their custody carried responsibility that extended beyond their own life, a duty bound by oaths, honor, and the fear of what might happen if the knowledge was exposed prematurely. Among the most enigmatic stories is that of the spear of Longinus, the lance said to have pierced Christ's side. Rumors suggest that it was hidden in the vaults beneath Rome, its presence known only to a handful of knights before the order's downfall. Others speak of illuminated manuscripts, filled with knowledge from Jerusalem, Babylon, and Alexandria, containing interpretations of sacred geometry, astrological charts, and secret rituals. Each relic carries a dual significance: spiritual, affirming faith and devotion, and practical, safeguarding knowledge that could shift power balances in kingdoms, churches, and courts. The passage of centuries has layered myth over reality, making it difficult to distinguish between historical fact and legend. Some relics were undoubtedly moved, lost, or destroyed. Others may have been hidden with extraordinary cunning. Scholars attempting to trace their paths face challenges beyond physical barriers. They confront a network of coded maps, symbols, and manuscripts deliberately designed to mislead, protect, or test the worthiness of those seeking them. The Templars' understanding of human psychology and secrecy ensured that even the most determined seeker might never fully succeed without both patience and insight. Yet the allure of these relics is irresistible. They are tangible connections to the past, to a world where devotion and ambition collided, and where men and women risked everything for faith and secrecy. Each artifact carries stories of courage, betrayal, loyalty, and ingenuity, reminding us that history is not merely a record of events, but a tapestry of human experience intertwined with mystery. The relic's survival, despite the collapse of the Templar Order, is a testament to the effectiveness of their custodianship, and to the enduring power of the knowledge they protected. In the hidden chambers beneath Rome, in the corridors mapped only by those who understood Templar designs, these relics wait. Perhaps some lie untouched, wrapped in centuries-old cloth, sealed in chests, or embedded in stone niches. Others may have been relocated, integrated into collections, or disguised in plain sight, their significance recognizable only to those who possess the key of understanding. The possibility that these treasures still exist, safeguarded and undisturbed, fuels fascination and speculation to this day. Ultimately, the lost relics of the Templars are more than objects. They are bridges to a time when faith, power, and knowledge were inseparable. They embody the tension between concealment and revelation, between devotion and ambition, between history as recorded and history as hidden. And in the shadows of Rome's secret chambers, beneath layers of stone and centuries of secrecy, they remain, waiting for those daring enough to uncover the truths they have protected for so long. Alongside the relics, the Templars carried another, arguably even more powerful legacy: the codices. These were not mere books or manuscripts. They were repositories of knowledge, encoded with secrets from the East, philosophical insights, mystical interpretations of scripture, and maps leading to treasures both spiritual and material. The codices represented the culmination of centuries of exploration, scholarship, and devotion. A convergence of faith, intellect, and strategy that the Templars had safeguarded with the same rigor they applied to their swords and shields. The codices were often written in languages both familiar and cryptic. Some used Latin or Greek, while others employed ciphers, symbolic representations, or languages long forgotten. Each page could hold multiple layers of meaning: a narrative for the uninitiated, a puzzle for the learned, and hidden instructions for those deemed worthy of the knowledge contained within. It is said that the Templars believed true wisdom should not be revealed to all, that knowledge carried the responsibility of discernment and restraint. The codices were therefore both a gift and a test, a challenge to those who sought understanding, and a safeguard against misuse. Many of these codices chronicled journeys to the Holy Land, documenting relics recovered from sacred sites, the architecture of temples, and the methods used to protect these treasures. Others contained instructions for the construction of hidden chambers and secret passageways, ensuring that the Templars' protective measures could endure beyond the life of any single night. Some even encoded rituals, prayers, or ceremonial procedures designed to unlock hidden powers within relics, aligning spiritual devotion with practical strategy. The codices were a blueprint of a hidden world, one that combined sacred faith with human ingenuity in ways that continue to captivate scholars and adventurers alike. The creation of these manuscripts required painstaking attention. Pages were illuminated with intricate illustrations, symbols carefully positioned to convey meaning while concealing it from casual observers. In some instances, gold leaf and pigments derived from rare minerals were used not merely for decoration, but to encode information in ways that could be deciphered under certain conditions of light or perspective. Ink, parchment, and bindings were all selected for longevity, ensuring that the knowledge could survive centuries, even if the order itself faced destruction. The codices also carried warnings, often cryptic, about the misuse of the knowledge they contained. Some passages suggest that certain secrets, if revealed prematurely, could lead to calamity, either spiritual or political. Others hint at the responsibility borne by the custodians, emphasizing that wisdom without judgment is dangerous, and power without restraint is catastrophic. The Templars' insistence on secrecy was not merely to protect themselves, but to protect the world from truths they believed were too potent, too disruptive, or too dangerous for those unprepared to receive them. When the order fell, many codices were seized, destroyed, or scattered. Some were hidden in monasteries, libraries, or private collections, deliberately disguised among other texts. Others may have been smuggled into secret locations beneath Rome, protected by the very passageways and chambers the Templars had designed. Even today, fragments of these manuscripts survive, tantalizing historians with hints of lost knowledge, cryptic symbols, and references to relics or secrets whose meaning has been obscured by time. The codices remain a link between the past and the present, a bridge to a world where faith and strategy were inseparable, and where knowledge was both a weapon and a shield. One of the most intriguing aspects of the codices is their connection to the Vatican Seal. Scholars and legend both suggest that the seal functioned as a key to the manuscripts, or perhaps that the codices themselves contained instructions for unlocking the seal's power. Whether through encoded symbols, geometric alignments, or ritual procedures, the relationship between the codices and the seal represents a pinnacle of the Templars' understanding. That knowledge, when combined with devotion and cunning, can safeguard the most potent truths of the world. The seal and the codices were two halves of a greater whole, intertwined in purpose and design. The human dimension of the codices is striking. They were not simply records of history or strategy. They were reflections of the Templars' beliefs, fears, and aspirations. Each page bears the imprint of men who understood the stakes of knowledge, who recognized that faith and power could be intertwined, and who were willing to sacrifice life, freedom, and reputation to protect what they had been entrusted with. The codices are therefore more than manuscripts. They are echoes of a time when the boundary between the sacred and the secret was both fragile and fiercely defended. To encounter a codex, even in fragmentary form, is to confront that legacy directly. Scholars describe an almost physical presence in these manuscripts, a sense that the pages carry intent, guidance, and, in some ways, judgment. The symbols, diagrams, and encrypted passages demand patience, intellect, and insight. Each deciphered line reveals not only historical information but also insight into the minds and values of those who created them. They are puzzles and teachings in one, simultaneously preserving knowledge and testing the character of those who seek to understand it. Even in the modern era, the allure of the codices remains undeniable. They continue to inspire research, exploration, and speculation. Whether buried beneath Rome, hidden in private collections, or lost entirely to history, the codices represent a threshold between the known and the unknown, between faith and secrecy, between history as we perceive it and the truths that may yet lie concealed. And at the heart of their mystery is the Templars' ultimate lesson, that knowledge, when wielded wisely, can illuminate the world, but when misused, it can destroy it. The codices of power are therefore more than historical documents. They are the backbone of the Templars' enduring influence. Alongside the relics, the chambers, and the seal, they form a network of wisdom, strategy, and secrecy that continues to challenge our understanding of history. They are reminders that the past is never fully gone, that secrets can survive centuries, and that the human quest for knowledge is both timeless and fraught with peril. Throughout the streets, piazzas, and sacred edifices of Rome, there exists a language invisible to the untrained eye, a language of symbols, signs, and subtle markers left by those who walked the city long before modern maps and guidebooks existed. These are not merely decorative flourishes or religious ornamentation. They are coded messages, guides to hidden passageways, chambers, and relics, and ultimately, keys to understanding the Templars' secret legacy. Every archway, column, and mosaic carries potential meaning, a deliberate imprint placed by architects, knights, and scholars who understood that knowledge must often be concealed to survive. The hidden symbols are everywhere, yet nowhere. A faint engraving on a cornerstone, a slight asymmetry in a fresco, the positioning of a statue, each could signify a direction, a warning, or a hint. They are designed to be overlooked by the casual observer but read with precision by those trained in their language. Some symbols are geometric, encoding principles of sacred architecture or hidden alignments. Others are pictorial, representing stories, myths, or sequences of events that guide the initiated along the Templars' hidden network. Even the smallest detail, a fleur-de-lis etched into a threshold, a subtle cross in a floor tile, can point toward a chamber, a codex, or a relic. The Templars understood the importance of layering these symbols with multiple meanings. A single mark could serve as both a religious affirmation and a directional guide. A mosaic might simultaneously honor a saint while indicating the location of a secret stairwell. This duality ensured that only those who possessed the proper knowledge, patience, and discernment could navigate the encoded paths. It is this complexity that has confounded scholars for centuries, blurring the line between art, devotion, and hidden intelligence. Certain symbols relate directly to the codices and relics described in previous chambers. For example, alignments with the sun or moon during solstices and equinoxes could illuminate inscriptions hidden in frescoes or floors, revealing information that was otherwise invisible. Some statues or reliefs were intentionally placed at specific angles to correspond with hidden doors or passageways beneath the Vatican or nearby Templar sites. The Templars' understanding of astronomy, geometry, and sacred architecture allowed them to encode messages across centuries, a silent language that could be read only by those who approached with both reverence and intellect. The human element of these symbols is equally compelling. They were designed not just to guide but to test. A symbol placed incorrectly, misinterpreted, or ignored could mislead a seeker, directing them away from a hidden chamber or into a trap. The Templars knew that the greatest threats to their secrets were human: curiosity, ambition, and greed. By embedding tests within the symbols, they ensured that only those worthy of their knowledge could progress. Each discovery, each deciphered mark, was a measure not only of intellect but of character, of discernment, and of the seeker's capacity for responsibility. Some of the most intriguing symbols are said to connect to the Vatican Seal. Legends suggest that certain engravings correspond to geometric patterns on the seal itself, hinting at rituals or procedures necessary to access it. Others may mark the locations of codices, guiding those who can interpret the language to the vaults where the Templars stored their most sacred manuscripts. In this way, the symbols become both guardians and guides, a network of protection and revelation spanning centuries, architecture, and knowledge. Over time, these symbols have inspired both fascination and fear. Artists, architects, and historians have speculated about their meaning, producing maps, studies, and theories that often contradict one another. Some suggest they are purely decorative, others insist they are keys to a lost world of Templar wisdom. Yet the consistency, precision, and sophistication of the placements argue otherwise. When viewed as a network, the symbols reveal a deliberate system, a silent testament to the Templars' foresight and understanding of human nature. Explorers who attempt to trace these symbols today often report a sense of disorientation, as if the city itself conspires to conceal its secrets. The streets seem to fold back upon themselves, alignments appear and disappear depending on perspective, and the faintest marks demand scrutiny under light, shadow, or reflection. It is as though the Templars anticipated centuries of seekers, ensuring that only those who approached with patience, attention, and humility could unravel their meaning. Every step, every observation, every question becomes part of the puzzle, a test echoing across time. The interaction between symbols, relics, codices, and the Vatican Seal highlights a central truth about the Templars. Their genius lay not merely in combat or devotion, but in the integration of intellect, faith, and strategy. They understood that the survival of knowledge depends on concealment, on layers of protection, and on a system designed to endure beyond the lives of those who created it. The symbols of Rome, woven into the very fabric of the city, are living proof of this vision, silent, patient, and waiting. In the end, the hidden symbols of Rome are more than marks on stone or paint on frescoes. They are the enduring fingerprints of the Templars, an invitation into their world, and a warning to those unprepared for its complexity. To follow them is to engage in a dialogue with history, to test one's intellect and courage, and to confront truths that have been deliberately concealed for centuries. They are a bridge between the past and present, between faith and knowledge, and between the mundane and the extraordinary. The city of Rome itself becomes a labyrinth, a living puzzle where every corner, column, and corridor can carry meaning. And at the heart of it all, beneath layers of stone, devotion, and secrecy, lie the treasures, codices, and the Vatican Seal, waiting for those who can read the language of shadows and symbols, those who can navigate the delicate balance of curiosity, reverence, and understanding. The hidden symbols are not merely markers. They are the Templars' eyes, watching across time, guiding the worthy, and protecting the truths that shaped history itself. The Templars were not only warriors and scholars. They were custodians of rituals, ceremonies, and codes of protection designed to safeguard their most precious secrets. Their methods extended far beyond physical defenses like fortified walls, hidden chambers, or secret passageways. In their worldview, the spiritual, intellectual, and physical realms were deeply interconnected. The safety of relics, codices, and ultimately the Vatican Seal depended on devotion, discipline, and carefully orchestrated rituals that imbued their holdings with layers of sanctity and authority beyond the reach of ordinary men. These rituals varied in complexity and purpose. Some were designed to consecrate chambers, relics, or manuscripts, ensuring that they were protected not only by stone and iron but by spiritual force. The Templars understood that objects of immense sacred or symbolic power could attract the greedy, the unworthy, or the malicious, and that physical concealment alone might not suffice. Ceremonies involving prayer, symbolic gestures, and recitations imbued their treasures with meaning, transforming storage spaces into sanctuaries. Each ritual was conducted with precision, often requiring the presence of multiple knights, ensuring collective witness and reinforcing the gravity of their vows. In addition to spiritual protection, many rituals were encoded into their architecture and daily practices. Certain rooms or passageways were aligned to celestial events, solstices, equinoxes, or phases of the moon, so that light or shadow would illuminate specific symbols or inscriptions at precisely the right moment. These alignments were not merely ornamental. They served as instructions, confirmations, or warnings for those navigating the hidden spaces. A shaft of sunlight striking a particular symbol could signify that a chamber was accessible, or that a codex's instructions could be understood fully. The Templars' integration of astronomy, geometry, and ritual exemplifies the extraordinary depth of their foresight, blending faith with methodical strategy in a way that few could replicate. Some rituals were intended to test character and worthiness. Before a knight or initiates could access certain chambers or handle relics, they might undergo ceremonies that examined loyalty, courage, and obedience. These trials could be symbolic, requiring the individual to recite vows, perform specific gestures, or demonstrate knowledge of encoded symbols. Others were more psychological, designed to confront fear, temptation, or ambition, reinforcing the principle that sacred knowledge must be protected from those whose hearts are impure. Failure in these rituals could prevent access entirely, effectively safeguarding the treasures without any physical barrier. Beyond protection, the rituals served as a form of preservation, ensuring the continuity of knowledge and tradition. Each ceremony was an act of collective memory, a way for the knights to transmit understanding across generations, even under threat of persecution. In essence, every prayer, every alignment, every gesture was a safeguard, a form of encryption that was both practical and symbolic. By embedding meaning into ritual, the Templars ensured that even if texts were lost, walls destroyed, or passageways collapsed, the essence of their mission could endure through human practice and memory. The secrecy surrounding these rituals was as strict as that of the chambers themselves. Only knights who had been fully initiated and proven trustworthy were permitted to witness, participate, or guide others in their execution. Outsiders, even those within the church, were often denied knowledge entirely, preventing the misuse or misinterpretation of these sacred practices. In some cases, rituals were accompanied by oaths of silence, enforced not only by social pressure but by spiritual obligation, emphasizing the Templars' belief that the misuse of sacred knowledge could have consequences far beyond the material world. Certain rituals were intimately connected to the relics and codices themselves. For instance, codices might only be opened under specific ceremonial conditions, combining prayer, precise gestures, and light alignments to reveal their contents fully. Relics could be activated or recognized only through particular rites, underscoring the Templars' understanding that these objects were not inert. They were conduits of history, faith, and authority. The Vatican Seal, in particular, is believed to have required a series of coordinated rituals for proper handling, including symbolic placements, recitations, and alignments designed to ensure that its power and knowledge were accessed only by the worthy. The human aspect of these rituals cannot be overstated. Knights participating in these ceremonies understood that they were not merely performing acts of devotion. They were engaging in a form of time travel, safeguarding secrets for generations that had yet to come. Each ritual carried immense responsibility, reminding participants that failure, neglect, or betrayal could endanger both faith and knowledge. Many contemporary accounts suggest that the intensity and solemnity of these ceremonies left lasting impressions on those who witnessed them, reinforcing loyalty, discipline, and the sacred duty of custodianship. The Templars' rituals were also designed to create a network of mutual accountability. The order operated on the principle that no individual could access the most critical knowledge alone. Collective participation ensured that secrets were safeguarded through shared responsibility, that one act of disloyalty could not compromise the integrity of the entire system. These ceremonial networks amplified the effectiveness of physical and architectural protections, transforming the protection of knowledge into a holistic practice that integrated mind, body, and spirit. Even today, echoes of these rituals can be inferred from the surviving manuscripts, hidden symbols, and architectural alignments within Rome and Templar sites across Europe. Scholars and explorers often report a sense of ritualistic precision embedded in every corridor, chamber, and design. A sense that the Templars' presence is still felt, guiding, testing, and safeguarding centuries after their fall. These rituals remind us that the Templars' genius lay not only in combat or scholarship, but in their understanding of human psychology, devotion, and the intricate balance between secrecy and revelation. Ultimately, the rituals of protection reveal the Templars as visionaries whose legacy extended far beyond battlefields. They combined faith, intellect, and discipline into practices that preserved knowledge, safeguarded power, and tested character. Through prayer, alignment, ceremony, and vigilance, the order ensured that its treasures, codices, relics, and the Vatican Seal, would endure the ravages of time, persecution, and human ambition. These rituals were not mere superstition. They were sophisticated strategies, carefully designed to protect the most potent secrets in Christendom. The Vatican Seal, long shrouded in rumor and conjecture, emerges not merely as a symbol of papal authority, but as a focal point of one of the most guarded legacies of the Templars. It is said to be more than a piece of metal, more than a ceremonial tool. It is a key, a codified emblem containing layers of meaning, capable of unlocking knowledge, rituals, and relics that had been safeguarded for centuries. The very idea of the seal carries weight, hinting at power beyond the material realm, a synthesis of faith, strategy, and secrecy that only the Templars could have conceived. Descriptions of the seal vary, and few records are definitive. Some accounts suggest it is circular, inscribed with geometric symbols, sacred texts, and Templar insignia, its surface etched in a way that encodes instructions only visible under specific conditions. Others describe it as a composite object, combining metal, stone, and possibly even rare organic materials to hold both symbolic and practical significance. Yet all agree on one point: the seal was never intended for ordinary use. It was a tool of access, a key to chambers, manuscripts, and sacred relics, each layer of its design deliberately crafted to conceal and protect the order's most potent secrets. The journey of the seal to the heart of the Vatican is intertwined with the Templars' fall. In the early 14th century, as knights were arrested, tortured, and executed, loyal members smuggled the seal through Europe, passing it from hand to hand, city to city, palace to palace. It is said that the seal was transported under veils, in hidden compartments, and even through secret subterranean routes, guided by maps, codices, and symbols that only initiated knights could decipher. Its survival required careful planning, extreme caution, and a level of devotion that few could match. Those entrusted with it carried not only a physical object but the weight of centuries of knowledge and the responsibility to protect truths too dangerous for public exposure. The seal's design reflects the Templars' understanding of layered security. Some elements are said to be purely symbolic, reinforcing spiritual authority and legitimacy. Others serve as practical mechanisms, alignments, engravings, and inscriptions that could indicate secret compartments, reveal codices, or signal the presence of relics. In some legends, the seal itself acts as a cipher. Pressed against specific manuscripts or positioned in certain chambers, it is said to unlock hidden information, revealing paths, rituals, or protective measures encoded by the knights. To misplace or misuse it would not merely compromise secrets. It could potentially render them inaccessible, lost to history. The human drama surrounding the seal is profound. The Templars entrusted it to those who had proven loyalty, courage, and understanding, often requiring oaths of silence and repeated demonstrations of devotion. Some knights reportedly sacrificed their lives rather than allow the seal to fall into the wrong hands. Others were rumored to have hidden it so deeply that centuries later, its exact location remains uncertain. Even within the Vatican, the seal was treated with extreme reverence and caution. It became part of a delicate balance, a symbol of authority, a protective tool, and a vessel of knowledge whose significance extended far beyond ceremonial use. The seal's connection to the codices and hidden chambers of Rome is particularly intriguing. Many scholars and historians suggest that the seal was intended as a master key, linking the manuscripts, symbols, and relics into a single system of protection and revelation. When positioned correctly or interpreted properly, it could theoretically reveal information encoded across multiple locations, creating a network of knowledge accessible only to the initiated. This interconnection underscores the genius of the Templars. They did not merely hide treasures or write manuscripts. They engineered a system that integrated objects, spaces, symbols, and ritual into a single, self-protecting ecosystem. Legends also hint at the seal's spiritual dimension. Some accounts suggest that it was used in ceremonies to consecrate relics, codices, or chambers, imbuing them with layers of sanctity and authority. Others claim that the seal could be activated through specific rites, involving precise alignments, prayers, and gestures, an extension of the rituals designed to test and protect. Whether these spiritual claims are literal or symbolic, they reveal how the Templars blended faith and strategy, ensuring that the seal functioned on multiple levels, as a key, a symbol, and a safeguard. The passage of centuries has only intensified the seal's mystique. Many explorers, scholars, and historians have tried to trace its history, yet the more they uncover, the more it seems that the seal operates as a puzzle, an object whose meaning and function cannot be fully grasped without understanding the broader system of Templar secrets. It is not merely an artifact to be studied. It is a challenge, a test of intellect, patience, and discernment, echoing the principles of the order that created it. The seal also embodies a cautionary lesson. Its secrecy, its protective mechanisms, and the layers of ritual surrounding it highlight the dangers inherent in knowledge and power. The Templars understood that certain truths, if revealed to the unworthy, could destabilize faith, politics, or human understanding. The seal's careful concealment is therefore not just about guarding treasures. It is about controlling the consequences of knowledge, a reminder that the past is filled with forces that, if misused, can shape the world in unpredictable ways. Even today, the idea of the Vatican Seal resonates with intrigue and awe. Scholars speculate, historians debate, and adventurers dream of uncovering its secrets. Its story, intertwined with relics, codices, hidden chambers, and symbols, is not just a tale of objects and architecture. It is a narrative of faith, loyalty, sacrifice, and human ingenuity. The seal is a testament to the Templars' enduring legacy, a bridge between history, mystery, and the unseen forces that have shaped our world. In the final analysis, the Vatican Seal is not merely a relic of the past. It is a convergence point of knowledge, power, and devotion, a symbol of the Templars' genius and a challenge to all who seek to understand it. To glimpse its purpose, even in legend, is to engage with a system of secrets so profound that it demands patience, intellect, and reverence. It is a reminder that the Templars' influence continues to ripple through time, encoded in objects, spaces, and rituals that await discovery by those bold enough to follow the path they laid centuries ago. Beneath the surface of Rome, A city already dense with history, legends tell of a secret map, an intricate, hidden guide that charts the Templars' treasures, relics, and codices across the Eternal City. Unlike conventional maps, this one is not drawn on a single sheet of parchment but encoded into architecture, symbols, mosaics, and manuscripts. Streets, piazzas, and churches themselves act as markers. The placement of statues, the orientation of columns, even the geometry of floors, all form a network of clues, guiding the initiated toward chambers, hidden passages, and sacred relics. The map is not merely geographical. It is symbolic, spiritual, and intellectual, demanding understanding as much as observation. To follow this map requires more than a compass or a guidebook. One must decipher layers of meaning, interpreting encoded symbols, sacred geometry, and celestial alignments embedded throughout the city. For instance, some mosaics in obscure chapels correspond to constellations that appear in the sky only at certain times of the year, guiding seekers to locations previously hidden in shadow. A relief on a column may indicate a staircase concealed behind a wall, while a subtle alignment between two statues could reveal the path to a chamber beneath the basilica. Every element of Rome, every artistic flourish, may conceal a secret design to protect Templar treasures and knowledge from the uninitiated. The codices themselves are part of this map. Manuscripts contain sketches, diagrams, and descriptions that act as a key to interpreting the symbols scattered throughout the city. A seemingly innocuous illustration might contain directions, timing cues, or instructions for unlocking a hidden vault. The Templars' genius lay in their integration of multiple systems of encoding: textual, visual, geometric, and spiritual. This ensured that only those with patience, intelligence, and devotion could hope to follow the trail. Misinterpretation could lead a seeker astray, rendering hours of effort meaningless, while precise understanding might illuminate the path to some of the most closely guarded secrets in Christendom. Human ingenuity is embedded in every layer of the map. Some markers are deliberately misleading, designed to challenge curiosity and test judgment. A corridor that appears accessible may end abruptly. A statue may point in a false direction, or a symbol may be rotated to conceal its true purpose. The Templars understood the psychology of seekers, the pull of greed, and the distractions of ambition. They ensured that the map was not only a guide but also a guardian, testing both intellect and moral character. Only those with the right combination of discernment, courage, and patience could navigate it successfully. The secret map's connection to the Vatican Seal amplifies its significance. According to legend, the seal itself may act as a master key, revealing the most critical paths within the city or verifying the seeker's understanding of the encoded directions. Some passages suggest that placing the seal in certain locations, under specific conditions, could illuminate hidden inscriptions or open concealed chambers. The interweaving of physical objects, symbols, rituals, and architectural alignment creates a multi-layered system of protection and revelation that reflects the Templars' unparalleled strategic vision. Over centuries, the secrecy of the map has been preserved by multiple layers of concealment. Churches were rebuilt, streets rerouted, and vaults sealed, but the Templars' ingenuity ensured that the essence of the map endures. Even if individual clues were lost or obscured, the system as a whole maintains coherence. Scholars have discovered fragments of this encoded guidance, noting that similar symbols, alignments, and diagrams appear repeatedly across seemingly unrelated sites. The repetition is deliberate. It provides redundancy, ensuring that even if part of the map is destroyed, the path remains interpretable to the patient and observant. The human drama surrounding the map is extraordinary. Knights, priests, and scholars who once possessed knowledge of it were sworn to secrecy under penalty of excommunication or death. Some reportedly spent years studying codices, observing alignments, and testing the city's architecture to fully comprehend the system. Stories tell of seekers losing themselves in labyrinthine corridors, becoming disoriented by the complexity of the encoded city, or discovering hidden chambers where centuries of Templar treasures awaited. The risks were real. The city itself became both a canvas and a challenge, a physical manifestation of the Templars' enduring vigilance. The map also reflects a profound understanding of history, faith, and the human condition. By embedding knowledge in symbols, architecture, and celestial alignments, the Templars ensured that their treasures were safeguarded not only from thieves, but from those unprepared for the moral and spiritual responsibilities their discovery entailed. The map, in essence, is a test of character as much as intelligence, a silent guardian of truths that could reshape understanding of the Church, history, and human potential. Even today, the allure of the secret map captivates historians, adventurers, and scholars. Its existence is suggested by fragments of codices, subtle architectural patterns, and anecdotal evidence, yet its complete form remains elusive. To follow it is to engage in a dialogue across centuries, to experience the city as the Templars intended. A living, breathing puzzle where faith, knowledge, and human ingenuity converge. Every discovery within Rome, no matter how small, may be a piece of a larger puzzle, a key to unlocking the secrets that the Templars meticulously preserved. Ultimately, the secret map is more than a guide. It is a testament to the Templars' genius, a fusion of artistry, strategy, and devotion. It transforms the city of Rome into an interactive archive of faith and knowledge, where streets, monuments, and hidden chambers are both markers and messages. To pursue it is to step into the Templars' world, to navigate a web of secrecy and revelation, and to confront the extraordinary lengths to which they went to preserve their most precious legacies. The map, like the codices and the Vatican Seal, is a bridge between past and present, a challenge, a mystery, and an invitation to those bold enough to uncover it. Beneath the grandeur of Rome's public libraries, cathedrals, and monasteries lie secrets rarely glimpsed by the uninitiated. The Templars, understanding the fragility of knowledge and the volatility of power, created hidden libraries, vaults of manuscripts, codices, and sacred texts that preserved the wisdom of centuries. These libraries were not merely collections of books. They were sanctuaries of memory, carefully curated repositories designed to outlast empires, survive persecution, and safeguard truths that could alter the course of history if revealed prematurely. Access to these hidden libraries was restricted, limited to knights and scholars who had proven loyalty, intelligence, and discretion. Even within the Templar order, the location of certain chambers was compartmentalized, known only to a select few. Some libraries were carved into the stone foundations of abbeys, hidden behind false walls or under altars. Others were concealed within private residences, monasteries, or crypts, disguised so effectively that casual observation could never reveal their existence. Each space was meticulously arranged, with manuscripts categorized not merely by subject but by sacred relevance, encoded significance, and alignment with the broader network of Templar knowledge. The manuscripts within these libraries spanned a remarkable range of topics. Some detailed religious doctrine, interpretations of scripture, and theological debates. Others chronicled the Templars' journeys to the Holy Land, recording architectural plans, maps of sacred sites, and meticulous accounts of relics recovered from Jerusalem, Acre, and other contested cities. There were treatises on astronomy, mathematics, and geometry, often interwoven with spiritual or mystical commentary, revealing a worldview in which the natural and divine realms were inseparable. Even alchemical texts and symbolic diagrams found their place, reflecting the Templars' understanding of the transformative power of knowledge, whether spiritual, intellectual, or material. The libraries also served as protective mechanisms for the codices and artifacts discussed in previous chambers. Manuscripts were often paired with symbols, keys, or guides that could direct a seeker to hidden vaults, chambers, or secret passageways. Some texts were encoded with ciphers, invisible ink, or layered symbols, making them intelligible only to those trained in the Templars' methods. In effect, the libraries functioned as a living map of knowledge, linking texts, symbols, relics, and the Vatican Seal into a coherent system of protection and revelation. To study the library without understanding its coded logic would be like wandering a maze blindfolded. True insight required discipline, observation, and an intimate familiarity with the Templars' methodology. Human ingenuity and devotion are palpable within these hidden collections. Manuscripts were painstakingly written, often illuminated with gold leaf, rare pigments, and symbolic imagery designed to encode multiple layers of meaning. Pages were sometimes folded, interleaved with hidden compartments, or bound in a manner that concealed secret annotations. The Templars treated knowledge as a living entity, understanding that manuscripts alone could not safeguard truth. They required the attention, devotion, and wisdom of those entrusted to them. Every library was both a vault and a testament to the order's foresight, a repository where human skill and spiritual discipline converged. Some accounts suggest that the libraries also contained early documentation of what would later be codified in the Vatican Seal and secret maps of Rome. Manuscripts included cryptic references to celestial alignments, symbolic markers in the city, and ceremonial instructions connected to the protection of relics. In this way, the libraries acted as a hub, linking physical artifacts, encoded texts, and ritual practices into a single cohesive system. The knowledge preserved within their walls was not static. It was a dynamic network designed to guide, test, and protect, bridging centuries and connecting the past with the present. The human stakes within these libraries were high. Knights charged with their guardianship understood that betrayal, carelessness, or misinterpretation could jeopardize centuries of accumulated knowledge. There are stories of knights taking oaths of silence upon entering these hidden spaces, swearing to defend the manuscripts even at the cost of their lives. The libraries were sanctuaries not just for texts, but for principles, codes, and ideals, an enduring reflection of the Templars' understanding that knowledge and morality were inseparable. Over the centuries, some of these hidden libraries were partially discovered, looted, or lost, yet fragments of their contents survive in scattered collections across Europe. Scholars attempting to reconstruct their contents encounter puzzles that mirror those of the codices. Ciphers, layered symbolism, and references to hidden passages and relics. The very survival of these texts, often under threat from political upheaval, religious persecution, or neglect, testifies to the Templars' ingenuity and foresight. Each surviving manuscript is not merely a document but a key, a message from the past preserved for those capable of interpreting it. The libraries also underscore the Templars' understanding of the intersection between knowledge and power. The manuscripts contained wisdom that could confer influence, shift religious authority, or challenge prevailing beliefs. By hiding these works, the Templars protected both the integrity of the knowledge and the world from consequences they deemed too dangerous for premature revelation. The libraries represent a careful balance. Knowledge preserved, access restricted, and history shaped by those wise enough to protect it. Ultimately, the hidden libraries of Rome stand as a testament to the Templars' vision. They were not simply storage spaces. They were living, sacred archives, meticulously designed to survive persecution, concealment, and the passage of time. Within their walls, codices, maps, relics, and the echoes of rituals converge into a network of meaning and protection. They embody the union of faith, intellect, and strategy, reflecting an order that understood that history, power, and secrecy are inseparable. To uncover these libraries is to step directly into the Templars' world, to witness their genius, and to engage with secrets that have shaped the spiritual and intellectual heritage of Europe. Beneath the bustling streets, ancient piazzas, and towering basilicas of Rome lies a hidden network of tunnels and passageways, a subterranean labyrinth that has long captivated historians, explorers, and conspiratorial minds alike. These tunnels are more than architectural curiosities. They are the veins of the Templars' secret operations, linking hidden libraries, sacred relics, codices, and ultimately, the enigmatic Vatican Seal. Constructed with both precision and purpose, the tunnels demonstrate a level of foresight and ingenuity that continues to astound modern engineers and archaeologists. The tunnels served multiple functions. Primarily, they provided clandestine access between key locations in Rome, allowing knights and scholars to move unseen, transport treasures, and conduct rituals without drawing attention. In a city where political intrigue, religious rivalry, and persecution were ever present, secrecy was not merely desirable. It was essential. The labyrinth of passageways allowed the Templars to safeguard their most precious holdings while simultaneously maintaining the outward appearance of ordinary activity. A monastery, church, or private residence could hide entrances to corridors that led to entire chambers filled with codices, relics, or ceremonial spaces, all protected beneath layers of stone and secrecy. Construction of these tunnels reflects meticulous planning. Some followed the natural contours of the land, exploiting caves, aqueducts, and ancient foundations, while others were purpose-built with precise dimensions, arches, and supporting pillars to ensure longevity. Certain sections incorporated dead ends, false doors, or misleading branches, designed to confound intruders while guiding the initiated along the correct path. In places where light could not penetrate, reflective surfaces, torches, or even encoded symbols guided the way. Every feature served a dual purpose: to protect and to instruct, revealing a network that was both physical and intellectual in its design. The tunnels were more than mere pathways. They were part of the Templars' protective system. Some corridors were aligned with celestial events, so that light at a specific hour would illuminate symbols or markers, signaling the presence of hidden chambers or the correct passage. Certain engravings on walls, floors, or arches contained instructions or codes derived from codices, linking knowledge, architecture, and ritual into a coherent system. The tunnels themselves became a living extension of the Templars' secret network, a labyrinth in which faith, intellect, and strategy intersected to preserve their legacy. Human ingenuity and courage were tested within these tunnels. Knights navigating the labyrinth relied on memorization, observation, and intuition, aware that one wrong turn could lead to dead ends or compromise the secrecy of a chamber. Some passages contained hidden mechanisms, stone panels that required specific sequences to open, or corridors designed to collapse if tampered with improperly. These measures ensured that treasures, codices, and the Vatican Seal remained inaccessible to those unworthy or unprepared. The labyrinth was not merely a physical challenge. It was a trial of intellect, patience, and moral judgment. Legends suggest that certain tunnels directly connect to the Vatican Seal's resting place. Some passages, long concealed beneath churches or ancient foundations, were said to be illuminated only under particular alignments, revealing symbols that guided Templars toward the seal. Others reportedly contained codices or relics that, when interpreted correctly, functioned as keys to accessing adjacent chambers. The interconnectivity of tunnels, symbols, codices, and rituals underscores the Templars' mastery of layered security. Physical architecture, encoded knowledge, and ceremonial practice all converged to protect the most sacred objects in Christendom. The human dimension of these tunnels is profound. Knights entrusted with their secrets often spent years navigating them, maintaining their integrity, and recording new observations in hidden manuscripts. The tunnels were not merely spaces of movement. They were sanctuaries of devotion and discipline, echoing with prayers, ritual gestures, and whispered oaths. Stories recount that some knights would meditate or perform ceremonial acts within the tunnels, imbuing the passageways themselves with layers of spiritual protection. In this way, the labyrinth was both practical and sacred, reflecting the Templars' belief that the spiritual and material realms were inseparable. Over centuries, many of these tunnels fell into obscurity, sealed by renovations, urban expansion, or deliberate concealment. Yet fragments remain, their presence inferred from historical documents, architectural anomalies, and archaeological investigations. Explorers today report eerie corridors, hidden chambers, and walls etched with symbols that suggest the tunnel's former functions. Even partially intact, these subterranean networks reveal the Templars' extraordinary foresight and their relentless determination to safeguard knowledge and relics across time and circumstance. The tunnels also serve as a testament to the Templars' understanding of human nature. By embedding challenges, false leads, and encoded markers within the labyrinth, they ensured that only those with the right combination of intelligence, devotion, and discernment could navigate successfully. Curiosity alone was not enough. Patience, observation, and moral integrity were required. In this way, the tunnels were both protective and educative, preserving treasures while testing those who sought them, reflecting the order's belief that sacred knowledge demanded responsibility as well as skill. Ultimately, the secret tunnels of Rome reveal a hidden dimension of the Templars' legacy. They are not simply underground passages. They are conduits of faith, intellect, and strategy, linking relics, codices, hidden libraries, and the Vatican Seal into a coherent system of protection and revelation. To explore them is to step into a world where architecture becomes language, movement becomes ritual, and history is encoded in stone. The labyrinth beneath Rome stands as a silent testament to the Templars' ingenuity, vigilance, and devotion, inviting modern seekers to follow the path laid by knights who understood that the preservation of knowledge is the ultimate act of courage. The Templar Guardians were the living embodiment of the Order's mission, tasked with a responsibility that extended far beyond the battlefield. While the world saw knights as warriors, the true custodians of Templar secrets were those who understood the delicate balance between knowledge, devotion, and vigilance. They were the stewards of relics, codices, secret maps, hidden libraries, and labyrinthine tunnels beneath Rome. Every oath they took, every ritual they performed, and every passage they navigated reflected a commitment to preserving the Order's legacy across generations, under circumstances of extreme danger and uncertainty. Their training was rigorous, blending physical discipline with intellectual rigor and spiritual devotion. Knights assigned as guardians did not simply learn how to wield a sword. They were instructed in cryptography, sacred geometry, astronomy, and the symbolic language embedded throughout Rome's architecture. They studied codices that contained encrypted directions to hidden chambers and memorized patterns of symbols that guided them through the city's secret tunnels. Meditation, prayer, and ritual became as important as combat, as the guardians were expected to approach their duties with moral discernment as well as skill. To protect the Templars' treasures was to navigate not only physical danger but spiritual and ethical responsibility. Oaths of loyalty bound the guardians to secrecy with unyielding rigor. These vows were more than ceremonial. They were legal, spiritual, and personal commitments that demanded obedience even under threat of death. Knights swore never to reveal the location of relics or codices, never to betray their comrades, and never to compromise the integrity of the system designed to protect the Vatican Seal. Breaking these oaths was considered a betrayal not only to the Order but to the sacred trust that had been handed down for generations. In some accounts, failure was punished by exile, penance, or death, underscoring the seriousness with which these guardians approached their duties. Guardianship was also a test of character. The tunnels beneath Rome, the hidden libraries, and the encoded maps were not simply physical challenges. They were psychological and spiritual trials. One misstep could lead to disorientation, exposure of secrets, or even death. Some corridors contained traps or false leads, deliberately designed to test patience, observation, and judgment. A guardian could not rely solely on strength or courage. Intellect, intuition, and moral discernment were equally essential. The Templars understood that knowledge is dangerous when wielded by the unworthy, and their system was designed to ensure that only the disciplined, faithful, and prudent could succeed. Human stakes were high. Guardians often faced threats from rival factions, political authorities, or opportunistic treasure hunters seeking the Templars' secrets. During the Order's suppression in the 14th century, many were tortured or executed rather than reveal hidden knowledge. Others took extreme measures to safeguard relics and codices, smuggling them across Europe, concealing them in secret chambers, or destroying markers to prevent discovery. Some knights reportedly spent years, even decades, in isolation, maintaining tunnels, cataloging manuscripts, or performing rituals to protect treasures while the wider world remained oblivious. Their lives were defined by sacrifice, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to duty. The Guardians' rituals reinforced their dedication and strengthened their connection to the objects they protected. Before accessing codices, libraries, or tunnels, knights performed ceremonies designed to align mind, body, and spirit. Some involved precise gestures, chants, or prayers, often synchronized with celestial events to ensure proper alignment with encoded symbols or hidden chambers. Others required silent meditation or reflection, reminding the guardian of the weight of responsibility they bore. In this way, the act of guardianship was as much spiritual as it was practical, a sacred stewardship that elevated the role from mere protection to devotion. Trust between guardians was critical. The Templars designed a system in which no single individual could access all secrets alone. Knowledge was compartmentalized, with different knights responsible for different chambers, codices, or tunnels. Collaboration and communication were essential, as was the ability to discern whom to trust. The system relied on mutual accountability, ensuring that the integrity of the Templars' treasures could be maintained even if individual guardians were compromised. This network of trust mirrored the complexity of the physical labyrinths they protected, creating layers of security that were both practical and psychological. Some guardians became legends in their own right. Stories speak of knights who spent their entire lives in service to the order, navigating tunnels, decoding maps, and safeguarding relics with a level of dedication that seems almost otherworldly. Their actions, often hidden from history, ensured that the Templars' secrets survived centuries of persecution, political upheaval, and urban transformation. The human courage, discipline, and devotion embedded in their roles transformed Rome itself into a living testament to the Templars' enduring legacy. Even today, the concept of guardianship resonates in the surviving traces of Templar activity. Scholars, explorers, and historians are often struck by the precision and forethought evident in tunnels, symbols, and manuscripts. The system is not random. It reflects a coherent philosophy of protection, testing, and knowledge transmission. Each element, physical, intellectual, or spiritual, was designed to reinforce the others, creating a multidimensional safeguard that required human stewardship to function. Ultimately, the Templar Guardians exemplify the human dimension of one of history's most mysterious orders. Their lives remind us that history is not shaped solely by battles and politics, but by discipline, loyalty, and the courage to protect knowledge that others might misuse. They were not merely knights. They were custodians of faith, intellect, and secrets, entrusted with the most profound responsibilities imaginable. Their sacrifices, their discipline, and their devotion ensured that the treasures of Rome, the codices, the hidden libraries, the tunnels, and the Vatican Seal could survive centuries, waiting for those capable of understanding their full significance. The Templars' codices are far more than mere manuscripts. They are intricate vessels of encoded knowledge, designed to preserve the order's secrets while testing the intellect and devotion of those who sought to access them. Each codex is a puzzle in itself, a blend of art, mathematics, sacred symbolism, and spiritual insight. They are not meant for casual reading. To approach a codex is to enter a dialogue across centuries, to confront the intentions of knights who understood that knowledge, when revealed without care, could be as dangerous as it was enlightening. The codices contain layered information, carefully organized to prevent accidental discovery. On one level, they hold historical accounts, detailing the Templars' movements across Europe and the Holy Land, chronicles of battles, journeys, and the retrieval of sacred relics. Yet these narratives are interwoven with codes, symbols, and diagrams that hint at hidden chambers, secret passageways, and locations of concealed treasures. Marginal notes, illustrations, and geometric patterns are not decorative. They are carefully designed to encode information, allowing only the initiated to interpret the full meaning. Every line, curve, and color is deliberate, a cipher that transforms ordinary observation into revelation when approached with the correct knowledge and method. The codices also encode rituals, detailed instructions for ceremonies, prayers, and alignments designed to protect sacred objects. Some are practical, describing how to consecrate a chamber, relic, or manuscript. Others are symbolic, using allegory and metaphor to convey lessons about loyalty, courage, and spiritual insight. In many ways, the codices function as both textbooks and testaments, transmitting the Templars' understanding of the delicate interplay between the spiritual, intellectual, and physical worlds. To misinterpret a ritual could result in failure to protect the knowledge, or worse, the unintentional revelation of secrets to those unworthy. A remarkable feature of the codices is their use of multi-layered encryption. Knights employed ciphers, invisible ink, symbolic illustrations, and complex codes that require cross-referencing multiple sections or manuscripts to decode fully. Some codices are linked to the architecture of Rome, providing clues to hidden chambers, libraries, or tunnels. Others correspond to celestial events, so that alignments of the sun, moon, or stars reveal or confirm the locations of key relics or the correct execution of rituals. The system is not merely written. It is performative, requiring the reader to act, observe, and think critically to unlock the secrets embedded within. The human dimension of interacting with a codex is profound. Knights entrusted with these manuscripts were required to memorize sequences, understand symbolic systems, and perform specific rituals before even approaching the texts. This ensured that only those with discipline, devotion, and integrity could access the full depth of knowledge. Some codices even incorporated trials of observation or moral judgment, rewarding patience and insight while punishing haste or ignorance. In this way, the codices were not merely records, they were instruments of character development, teaching the principles of guardianship and the responsibility that comes with knowledge. Codices also acted as maps and guides, linking locations, relics, and rituals into a coherent network. A sketch in one manuscript might correspond to a symbol carved into a cathedral wall, while a coded line of text could provide directions to a hidden vault beneath a monastery. Some codices included instructions for using the Vatican Seal or other keys to access secured chambers. In effect, the manuscripts created a system of interconnected knowledge, where understanding one piece required comprehension of many others. This complexity ensured both the preservation and protection of sacred knowledge over centuries, even in the face of persecution and upheaval. Legends suggest that some codices contained prophecies or esoteric teachings, hidden beneath layers of allegory and symbolism. These passages, accessible only to the initiated, offered insights into the Templars' understanding of history, divine will, and human responsibility. The knowledge encoded within was not simply intellectual. It was moral and spiritual, designed to guide the actions of those entrusted with it. Knights who interacted with these manuscripts were thus simultaneously scholars, protectors, and moral stewards of a legacy that transcended the temporal world. Even today, the Templars' codices inspire awe and speculation. Scholars and cryptographers have attempted to decipher them for centuries. Yet the full depth of their secrets remains largely hidden. Fragments of knowledge survive, but the interconnected system of manuscripts, tunnels, relics, and rituals continues to challenge modern understanding. The codices exemplify the Templars' genius. They are simultaneously records, tests, and protective mechanisms designed to endure, challenge, and guide across generations. Ultimately, the codices reveal the Templars' mastery of complexity, secrecy, and foresight. They were not simply written to preserve facts or doctrine. They were designed to protect, to instruct, and to challenge. Each manuscript is a testament to human ingenuity, spiritual devotion, and the meticulous care with which the order safeguarded its most profound secrets. To engage with the Templar Codex is to enter a world where knowledge, faith, and moral responsibility are inseparable, a world carefully constructed to endure the trials of time and the curiosity of mankind. The Vatican Seal, enigmatic and revered, represents the culmination of the Templars' ingenuity, devotion, and meticulous secrecy. Its significance extends far beyond a mere emblem of papal authority. It is a master key, a symbol encoded with centuries of knowledge, and a tool capable of unlocking hidden chambers, relics, and codices meticulously safeguarded by the order. For the initiated, the seal is not simply an artifact. It is the nexus that connects the labyrinth of tunnels, the secret libraries, and the codices, a convergence point of faith, intellect, and human vigilance. The origins of the seal are shrouded in mystery. Some historians trace its creation to the early 12th century, suggesting that it was designed in response to the growing accumulation of sacred knowledge by the Templars during the Crusades. It is said to contain multiple layers of encoding, geometric patterns, symbolic inscriptions, and celestial alignments that correspond to hidden chambers within Rome. Each element of the seal was deliberately crafted to serve both symbolic and practical purposes, ensuring that only those with the requisite understanding could access its full potential. The first documented use of the seal in connection with hidden chambers is fragmentary but compelling. Ancient records hint at ceremonies in which the seal was employed to consecrate specific vaults, revealing inscriptions, activating mechanisms, or guiding guardians to concealed relics. Knights who possessed the seal were entrusted with responsibilities that combined spiritual authority and practical skill, navigating tunnels, interpreting codices, and safeguarding treasures. Misuse or misinterpretation of the seal could compromise the security of these chambers, emphasizing the profound responsibility borne by those who held it. The seal's design reflects extraordinary foresight. Some inscriptions encode directions to secret rooms, while others may function as visual keys, guiding the placement of codices or relics in accordance with celestial events. In effect, the seal acts as a bridge between multiple layers of Templar knowledge: the codices, the hidden libraries, and the labyrinthine tunnels. When used correctly, it transforms disparate clues into coherent understanding, allowing the initiated to perceive connections invisible to the casual observer. This integration of symbolic, practical, and spiritual functions demonstrates the Templars' remarkable capacity to fuse intelligence, faith, and ingenuity into a single object. Human skill and devotion were essential to the seal's use. Knights tasked with its care underwent rigorous training, memorizing codices, learning the symbols embedded throughout Rome, and understanding the rituals that activated the seal's functions. Oaths of loyalty and silence bound these guardians to their duty, ensuring that the seal's secrets would be preserved even under threat of violence, betrayal, or persecution. Many knights reportedly spent decades mastering the use of the seal, demonstrating patience, moral discernment, and extraordinary courage. The human element was as critical as the object itself. Without understanding, the seal's full potential remained inaccessible. Legends describe the seal as a key to discovery. When positioned correctly in relation to hidden chambers, inscriptions, or codices, it could illuminate symbols or mechanisms, revealing the next stage in the Templars' hidden network. Some accounts suggest that the seal interacted with celestial alignments, so that light falling on its surface at a particular time could indicate the presence of a chamber, unlock a coded passage, or validate the correct interpretation of a manuscript. In this way, the seal functioned as both a literal and symbolic instrument, linking human action, divine order, and concealed knowledge. The seal's human drama is equally compelling. Knights entrusted with its care faced constant threats: rival factions, inquisitions, and political machinations aimed at uncovering Templar secrets. Many sacrificed their lives to prevent the seal from falling into unworthy hands, sometimes hiding it beneath layers of deception or transporting it across Europe. The tension between secrecy and survival imbued the seal with an aura of danger and reverence, reinforcing its dual role as both a practical tool and a symbol of ultimate responsibility. Its connection to the Vatican further amplifies its mystique. While the seal is associated with papal authority, many scholars argue that its deeper significance relates to the Templars' broader system of hidden knowledge. Within the Vatican, the seal was reportedly used to access chambers, validate codices, or authenticate relics that were kept invisible to the public eye. The interplay between ecclesiastical power and Templar secrecy created a complex dynamic, one in which the seal served as a bridge between overt authority and hidden wisdom. Even today, the seal inspires fascination. Scholars, explorers, and cryptographers have attempted to decipher its layers, seeking clues about hidden chambers, relics, or codices. Some fragments of knowledge have emerged, suggesting that the seal is more than symbolic. It is a practical tool, part of a system designed to preserve and protect. Yet much remains undiscovered, maintaining an aura of mystery that continues to captivate imagination and scholarship alike. Ultimately, the Vatican seal embodies the Templars' genius and foresight. It is simultaneously a symbol, a protective device, and a key to hidden knowledge, linking tunnels, codices, libraries, and relics into an integrated system of secrecy and revelation. To understand it fully is to engage with the Templars' worldview, where faith, intelligence, and vigilance converge, and where the Guardian's discipline ensures that the past continues to speak to the present. The seal reminds us that some secrets are not merely hidden. They are carefully preserved, awaiting those capable of interpreting their significance and bearing the responsibility they demand. Beneath the visible grandeur of Rome, among its cathedrals, chapels, and ancient piazzas, lie relics that are far older, far more sacred, and far more secret than any casual visitor could imagine. These relics, preserved and protected by the Templars, represent the tangible link between faith, history, and the clandestine network of knowledge they created. They are not merely objects of veneration. They are instruments, keys, and symbols embedded within a system that connects codices, hidden libraries, labyrinthine tunnels, and the Vatican Seal. Each relic carries both spiritual significance and practical purpose, often encoded to interact with the Order's broader architecture of secrecy. The hidden relics of Rome span a remarkable range. Some are physical artifacts from the Holy Land, brought back during the Crusades, meticulously catalogued and concealed. Others are fragments of manuscripts, sacred vessels, ceremonial tools, or symbolic objects that carry encoded messages or instructions. Each was carefully positioned, often beneath altars, inside walls, or within concealed chambers, chosen for both its spiritual resonance and its alignment with the Templars' broader system of secrecy. The Order understood that the objects themselves, when combined with the codices, tunnels, and the Vatican Seal, could form a chain of knowledge accessible only to those trained to interpret it. Many relics are said to possess extraordinary historical and symbolic value. Some are linked to key figures of Christianity, tied to moments of ritual or martyrdom, and imbued with profound significance in both faith and history. Others are artifacts that challenge conventional understanding, objects whose existence was deliberately concealed to prevent misuse or misinterpretation. These relics, protected by layers of secrecy, served as both inspiration and guardianship, ensuring that the Templars' sacred mission could endure even as political powers rose and fell. Accessing these relics required extraordinary knowledge and precision. Guardians had to navigate labyrinthine tunnels, decode codices, and sometimes employ the Vatican Seal to validate their approach. Some chambers could only be opened at specific times, aligned with celestial events, or in response to symbolic sequences encoded within manuscripts. The Templars' foresight ensured that access was never casual. The objects were protected not only physically but intellectually and spiritually, requiring mastery of multiple disciplines to retrieve them safely. Human courage and discipline were inseparable from the relics' protection. Knights tasked with guarding these objects spent years mastering their roles, learning secret passages, memorizing codices, and performing rituals that sanctified and safeguarded the chambers. Mistakes could be fatal, both physically and morally, as the loss or exposure of a relic could endanger the Templars' entire system of secrecy. Some knights reportedly dedicated their entire lives to a single object, ensuring its protection and preserving the knowledge connected to it for future generations. The interplay between relics and the Vatican Seal adds a layer of mystery and power. Certain objects were designed to interact directly with the seal, responding to its placement, alignment, or ritual use. When the seal was correctly applied, hidden inscriptions might become visible, mechanisms could be activated, or pathways revealed. This interconnection reflects the Templars' genius. They integrated material, symbolic, and ritual elements into a single, coherent system, where each relic was part of a larger network of knowledge, protection, and revelation. Legends describe extraordinary discoveries within hidden chambers. Some relics are said to have been encased in containers that required both physical and intellectual keys to access. Others were placed in rooms where light from specific angles would illuminate coded inscriptions, revealing directions to additional treasures or manuscripts. The Templars' integration of geometry, astronomy, and symbolism ensured that each relic was both sacred and functional, serving as a focal point in a complex system of hidden knowledge that could endure centuries. Over time, some relics were partially revealed, scattered, or lost, yet their influence persists. Historical accounts, fragments of codices, and subtle architectural anomalies suggest that many remain hidden, awaiting discovery by those capable of interpreting their significance. Scholars, cryptographers, and explorers have long speculated about these objects, but the majority remain beyond reach, protected by both human ingenuity and layers of encoded secrecy. The surviving clues speak to the Templars' foresight and the extraordinary lengths they went to preserve their legacy. The human drama surrounding these relics adds to their mystique. Knights and guardians often faced persecution, betrayal, or political intrigue, yet many refused to compromise their mission. Some are said to have hidden relics in new locations, re-encoded manuscripts, or even destroyed clues to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Their courage, dedication, and sacrifice ensured that the objects, and the knowledge they symbolized, remained protected, forming a silent testament to the Templars' enduring vigilance. Ultimately, the hidden relics of Rome are far more than historical curiosities. They embody a synthesis of faith, strategy, and human devotion, linking tunnels, codices, libraries, and the Vatican Seal into an integrated system of protection and revelation. Each object carries a story, a moral lesson, and a test of understanding, challenging anyone who seeks them to navigate not just physical obstacles but intellectual and spiritual ones as well. They stand as enduring witnesses to the Templars' genius, reminding us that history, secrecy, and devotion can converge in objects both tangible and profoundly mysterious. Rome is a city of layers, a living palimpsest where every stone, arch, and column tells a story. Yet beneath the visible grandeur, beneath the familiar facades of churches, palazzos, and piazzas, lies another layer, a hidden language encoded by the Templars into the city itself. For those who know where to look, Rome is less a city than a manuscript, a carefully orchestrated map of symbols, alignments, and hidden messages designed to guide, protect, and preserve the order's most sacred secrets. Templar architects and scholars understood that knowledge could be concealed in plain sight. They embedded geometric patterns, celestial alignments, and symbolic motifs into the layout of streets and buildings. A statue's gaze might point toward a hidden passage, while the spacing between columns could encode directions. Frescoes, mosaics, and reliefs were not merely decorative. They were visual ciphers, layered with meaning that could only be decoded by those versed in the order's symbolic language. Even the orientation of churches was deliberate, aligned with solar, lunar, or stellar events to reveal critical information at specific moments. One of the most fascinating aspects of this hidden architecture is its multi-layered complexity. A single church could contain several levels of encoded information simultaneously. Floor tiles might correspond to constellations, frescoes could illustrate encoded directions, and statues or reliefs might provide subtle timing cues. These elements were interconnected, forming a system in which understanding one symbol often required knowledge of another. In essence, the city itself became a living codex, a network of encoded knowledge that extended across Rome, linking libraries, tunnels, relics, and the Vatican Seal. The Templars' use of symbolic architecture served multiple purposes. First, it protected sacred objects and codices by making their locations intelligible only to the trained eye. Second, it guided those who were initiated, allowing guardians to navigate complex systems of hidden libraries, tunnels, and chambers. Third, it created redundancy. Even if one marker were destroyed or obscured, others ensured the system remained intelligible to those with sufficient understanding. This careful planning underscores the Templars' genius, blending art, mathematics, and devotion into a functional and enduring safeguard. Human engagement with these architectural messages was both practical and spiritual. Knights, scholars, and initiates were trained to observe minute details, interpret symbols, and align their actions with encoded instructions. Some architectural elements required physical interaction, a lever disguised as a relief, a statue that needed to be moved, or a floor tile that concealed a mechanism. Others required contemplation, meditation, or precise observation of celestial events. This interplay between intellect, intuition, and ritual made the city itself a test, a living classroom in which knowledge, faith, and moral judgment were inseparable. Legends suggest that some of these architectural codes are directly tied to the Vatican Seal. Certain alignments may reveal hidden inscriptions, validate the placement of relics, or indicate the correct orientation for accessing a secret chamber. A column or arch might act as a guidepost, pointing the way to a hidden tunnel or library. Frescoes might encode the timing for a ritual or the correct positioning of codices. In this way, the architecture of Rome does not merely conceal secrets. It actively participates in the network, interacting with the seal, the codices, and the relics in a dynamic system of protection and revelation. The human dimension of this system is profound. Guardians who understood these hidden messages devoted years to their study and interpretation. They memorized symbols, observed alignments, and performed rituals with meticulous care. Mistakes could be catastrophic. Misinterpretation might lead to exposure of a hidden chamber or failure to preserve a relic. The city's architecture was both a challenge and a responsibility, demanding discipline, moral judgment, and intellectual rigor. For the Templars, the act of reading the city was inseparable from the act of protecting it. Some buildings and piazzas are thought to contain multiple layers of hidden meaning, accessible only to those who combine knowledge from codices, observations of celestial alignments, and understanding of symbolic rituals. The integration of mathematics, geometry, and theology created a system in which knowledge, space, and time intersect. This allowed the Templars to safeguard treasures and wisdom across centuries, ensuring that only the prepared, patient, and morally attuned could access them. The city was, in effect, both archive and guardian, a structure in which the human and divine intertwined. Over centuries, many of these hidden messages were obscured by renovations, reconstructions, and urban development. Yet traces remain. A fresco slightly askew, a mosaic with unusual geometry, a statue whose gaze seems deliberate. Scholars and explorers have documented numerous anomalies, but the full depth of Rome's hidden language remains largely uncharted. Each discovery is a reminder that the Templar system was designed not merely to hide secrets, but to ensure their endurance, surviving political upheaval, urban transformation, and centuries of human curiosity. Ultimately, Rome's hidden messages reveal the Templars' extraordinary ability to integrate knowledge, devotion, and strategy into the very fabric of a city. The streets, churches, piazzas, and monuments are not simply spaces. They are nodes in a vast network of encoded knowledge, guiding the initiated toward libraries, relics, tunnels, and the Vatican Seal. To perceive the city in this way is to step into the Templars' worldview, where every stone carries meaning, every alignment is deliberate, and human vigilance is as essential as divine inspiration. These messages are enduring testimonies to the ingenuity, faith, and meticulous foresight of an order that understood the profound responsibility of safeguarding history, knowledge, and sacred secrets. The Templars were not merely warriors or guardians. They were practitioners of sacred rituals that intertwined faith, intellect, and secrecy. These ceremonies were designed to protect knowledge, relics, codices, and the Vatican Seal, creating layers of spiritual and symbolic security that extended beyond physical barriers. The rituals were both practical and mystical, blending liturgical actions with encoded gestures, symbolic arrangements, and precise timings, often linked to celestial events or hidden architectural markers. To participate in a ritual was to engage simultaneously with history, devotion, and human ingenuity. The lost rituals of the Templars are known primarily through fragmented codices and scattered accounts, but their purpose is unmistakable. They sanctified chambers, activated hidden mechanisms, and guided guardians through complex networks of tunnels, libraries, and encoded spaces. Each movement, chant, or arrangement of objects was deliberate, often designed to align the physical, intellectual, and spiritual dimensions. A misplaced gesture or misinterpreted instruction could render a chamber inaccessible, compromise a relic, or obscure knowledge that had been preserved for centuries. The stakes were immense, demanding unwavering attention and discipline from the initiates. One recurring feature of these rituals was their integration with time and celestial observation. Knights often performed ceremonies at specific hours, days, or seasons, when the alignment of sunlight, moonlight, or stars would illuminate symbols, inscriptions, or hidden markers. Light falling across a fresco, a floor tile, or a statue could reveal a pattern or code otherwise invisible. Some rituals required the movement of the Vatican Seal in conjunction with these alignments, ensuring that only those with knowledge, patience, and precise timing could unlock the next stage of the Templars' network. The combination of astronomy, symbolism, and sacred practice demonstrates the remarkable sophistication of these ceremonies. The rituals also emphasized moral and intellectual preparedness. Knights were expected to meditate, recite specific prayers, and reflect on ethical principles before performing actions that could affect the preservation of knowledge. The ceremonies were designed to test not only skill and attention but also character and spiritual alignment. A guardian who approached a ritual with arrogance, impatience, or misunderstanding risked failure, reinforcing the Templars' belief that the protection of knowledge was inseparable from moral responsibility. In this way, the lost rituals served as both safeguard and teaching tool, shaping the human guardians entrusted with the Order's most sacred secrets. Objects used in the rituals were often symbolic or functional. Relics, codices, and even the Vatican Seal played critical roles, sometimes arranged in precise geometries, manipulated in specific sequences, or placed to interact with hidden architectural markers. Other elements were purely symbolic: candles, incense, or gestures representing virtues, celestial bodies, or sacred principles. These components created a multi-layered system in which action, object, and intention combined to achieve both protection and revelation. The Templars' rituals were thus living systems of encoded knowledge, requiring human interpretation, devotion, and precision to function fully. Historical accounts suggest that some rituals were designed to activate hidden chambers or reveal concealed relics. For example, a codex might describe a ceremonial movement that, when performed correctly, aligned with architectural markers or inscriptions to expose a secret passage. In other cases, relics themselves were positioned during rituals to interact with light, symbols, or encoded mechanisms, effectively safeguarding them until the ritual was properly performed. These practices demonstrate that the Templars' rituals were not merely symbolic. They were functional instruments of protection, intelligence, and spiritual alignment. The human element in these rituals cannot be overstated. Knights dedicated years to learning the correct sequences, memorizing codes, and understanding the interconnections between celestial events, architecture, relics, and codices. Guardians often performed rituals in isolation, under strict secrecy, or in collaboration with a select few, ensuring that the knowledge remained protected from unworthy hands. The physical and intellectual demands of the ceremonies reinforced discipline, vigilance, and loyalty, qualities essential to maintaining the integrity of the Templars' hidden network. Over time, many of the rituals were lost, partially obscured by the suppression of the Order, the destruction of codices, and the secrecy surrounding the Templars' activities. Yet traces remain in manuscripts, architectural anomalies, and oral traditions, suggesting the profound complexity and sophistication of these practices. Scholars attempting to reconstruct them often encounter layered instructions, symbolic repetitions, and encoded sequences, reflecting the Templars' meticulous care in safeguarding knowledge while testing human understanding and devotion. The lost rituals of the Templars reveal a worldview in which human skill, moral integrity, and spiritual alignment are inseparable from the protection of knowledge. They demonstrate that secrecy was not merely physical but also ethical and intellectual, requiring guardians to be disciplined, perceptive, and morally grounded. Every gesture, chant, or alignment was both a safeguard and a lesson, reinforcing the Order's understanding that knowledge, power, and faith demand responsibility. Ultimately, these rituals form an invisible yet integral layer of the Templars' hidden network. They connect tunnels, codices, libraries, relics, and the Vatican Seal into a coherent system of protection and revelation. Though partially lost to history, they stand as a testament to the Order's genius, discipline, and devotion, reminding us that the preservation of sacred knowledge requires not only ingenuity but also courage, vigilance, and unwavering moral commitment. To glimpse even a fragment of these rituals is to step into the Templars' world, where secrecy, faith, and intellect converge in a delicate balance that has endured for centuries. At the heart of Rome's hidden network, where tunnels converge, codices whisper secrets, relics lie concealed, and the Vatican Seal exerts its enigmatic authority. There exists a revelation that has eluded the eyes of historians for centuries. It is a culmination of the Templars' ingenuity, devotion, and foresight, a final convergence where knowledge, faith, and human vigilance intersect. Those few who have glimpsed this revelation describe an experience that is as spiritual as it is intellectual, a moment when centuries of secrecy and sacrifice seem to crystallize into clarity. The final revelation begins with the careful alignment of the seal. Positioned correctly within the labyrinth, in accordance with encoded instructions in the codices, it interacts with hidden chambers, light sources, and relics. Symbols carved into stone, unnoticed by the casual observer, suddenly resonate in purpose, guiding the initiated through passageways that have remained sealed for generations. The guardians who approach this moment do so with reverence, understanding that they are about to witness the culmination of an intricate system designed not only to conceal but to teach, test, and inspire. Relics, long hidden beneath altars, within walls, or in secret chambers, assume a new significance in this final revelation. Their placement, previously invisible, becomes meaningful as their positions correspond to celestial alignments, architectural markers, and codex instructions. In some accounts, a single candle, a beam of sunlight, or the touch of the seal activates hidden inscriptions or mechanisms, revealing new chambers, maps, or manuscripts. Every object, every symbol, and every gesture is part of a grand orchestration, meticulously designed by the Templars to reward the disciplined, perceptive, and morally attuned. The emotional weight of this revelation is profound. Guardians report a mixture of awe, humility, and responsibility, a recognition of the centuries of human courage, devotion, and sacrifice that have preserved these secrets. The tunnels echo with the silent presence of those who came before. The knights who guarded relics, memorized codices, performed lost rituals, and braved persecution to ensure the continuity of knowledge. To witness this culmination is to feel the connection between past and present, a visceral awareness that history, devotion, and human ingenuity are inseparable threads woven into the fabric of the Templars' hidden world. At the intellectual level, the final revelation provides clarity. Codices interlock with architectural markers, relic placements, and the seal to form a coherent system of knowledge. Previously obscure symbols reveal patterns, previously mysterious alignments demonstrate purpose, and previously isolated relics fit into an interconnected network. The revelation is both a key and a map, demonstrating the Templars' understanding of complex systems, their mastery of secrecy, and their ability to fuse spiritual, intellectual, and practical concerns into a single, enduring design. It is an achievement of human genius, one that demands not only observation but comprehension, patience, and moral responsibility. Some scholars and explorers who have studied fragments of this revelation suggest that it offers insights into the Templars' broader worldview. Knowledge, they argue, was never an end in itself. It was a tool for preserving faith, testing human character, and protecting sacred wisdom from those unworthy of possession. The final revelation embodies this philosophy, showing that the Order's greatest achievements were not material, but intellectual and spiritual. The Vatican Seal, codices, relics, and tunnels are all conduits through which this understanding is transmitted, requiring human engagement to manifest fully. The drama of the final revelation is heightened by its inherent fragility. A misstep, a misinterpretation, or a lapse in moral judgment could render the system incomplete, obscure the hidden chambers, or compromise relics. This is why the Templars placed such emphasis on oaths, discipline, and ritual. The revelation is not merely a discovery. It is a responsibility. Those who reach it are not masters of the secrets. They are stewards, tasked with preserving the integrity of the network and ensuring that the wisdom it contains endures. Emotionally, the final revelation creates a profound connection across time. Guardians often describe the sensation of encountering a living continuum, a sense that they are participating in a legacy that transcends centuries. The Templars' foresight, ingenuity, and courage resonate in each step through the tunnels, each interaction with relics, and each interpretation of codices. It is an intimate encounter with history, one that combines awe, reverence, and moral reflection, reinforcing the understanding that knowledge, power, and faith are inseparably linked. Legends suggest that the revelation also contains moral and spiritual guidance, encoded in symbols, rituals, and alignments. Messages about courage, loyalty, vigilance, and responsibility are embedded alongside practical instructions, reinforcing the Templars' belief that the preservation of knowledge requires more than intellect. It demands character. The final revelation, in this sense, is not only an unveiling of secrets but a mirror, reflecting the qualities required of those who seek to protect and understand history's hidden truths. Ultimately, the final revelation is a testament to the Templars' vision. It demonstrates that secrecy, devotion, intellect, and courage can converge to create systems that endure centuries, surviving political upheaval, persecution, and human curiosity. The Vatican Seal, codices, relics, and tunnels are not mere objects. They are instruments in a carefully orchestrated network designed to preserve knowledge, test character, and inspire awe. For those who encounter this culmination, the experience is transformative, leaving a lasting impression of both human ingenuity and the enduring power of faith and discipline. This revelation serves as the climax of the Templars' hidden world, a moment where all strands of their genius converge. Yet it also leaves a lingering question. What other secrets remain, still hidden beneath Rome, awaiting discovery by those capable of understanding the intricate interplay of faith, knowledge, and human responsibility? The final revelation is both an ending and a beginning, a testament to the Order's foresight and an invitation to continue exploring the hidden dimensions of history, with all the awe, discipline, and reverence that such exploration demands. The Templars' influence did not vanish with the suppression of the Order. It persisted, subtle yet enduring, woven into the very fabric of Rome, European history, and the collective imagination. Their hidden networks, tunnels, codices, relics, and the Vatican Seal, left traces that have survived centuries of political upheaval, war, and urban transformation. Though much of their system remains obscured, its impact continues to resonate, shaping the way we understand history, secrecy, and the intersection of human intellect and devotion. The enduring legacy of the Templars is perhaps most visible in the architecture and city planning of Rome. Scholars and explorers continue to uncover alignments, symbols, and hidden markers embedded within churches, piazzas, and palaces, suggesting the continued presence of encoded knowledge. Some of these structures seem ordinary at first glance, yet closer inspection reveals precision and foresight, reflecting the Templars' meticulous integration of mathematics, geometry, and sacred symbolism. The city itself remains a living testament to their genius, a network of messages waiting for those capable of reading them. Codices preserved by the Order also contribute to this legacy. While many manuscripts were lost or destroyed, fragments remain, studied by scholars who attempt to decipher their layered symbols and instructions. These codices reveal the Templars' understanding of history, faith, and human responsibility, and demonstrate that knowledge can be both a gift and a test. By encoding information in complex, multi-layered systems, the Templars ensured that their wisdom could survive centuries, protected from misuse while accessible to those prepared to engage with it carefully and responsibly. Relics continue to inspire fascination, often serving as focal points for historical research, religious devotion, and cultural exploration. Even when their locations remain uncertain, the stories surrounding them preserve the aura of mystery and reverence the Templars intended. These objects are more than artifacts. They are symbols of human courage, devotion, and ingenuity, reminders that the past is never entirely gone and that those who came before left enduring marks for us to discover. The Vatican Seal, perhaps the most enigmatic element of the Templar system, also contributes to their lasting influence. Though its full power and function remain largely hidden, it symbolizes the intersection of authority, secrecy, and human ingenuity. Scholars continue to speculate about its encoded messages, its interaction with relics, codices, and hidden architecture, and the role it may have played in safeguarding knowledge through centuries of political and religious turbulence. The seal is a reminder that some objects carry significance far beyond their apparent form, linking human action to the endurance of ideas. The human stories embedded within this legacy are equally powerful. Guardians who protected codices, performed lost rituals, and navigated tunnels embodied the Templars' ideals of courage, discipline, and moral responsibility. Their sacrifices ensured that knowledge survived, and their devotion continues to inspire curiosity, respect, and scholarly investigation. The narrative of the Templars is not only a story of hidden chambers and relics, but also a human story of perseverance, integrity, and the enduring pursuit of understanding. Modern exploration of the Templars' legacy demonstrates the timelessness of their systems. Archaeologists, cryptographers, historians, and amateur explorers are still uncovering symbols, codices, and traces of hidden chambers, piecing together fragments of a network designed to endure centuries. Each discovery highlights the ingenuity and foresight of the Templars, and underscores the idea that history is not static but alive, shaped by the careful actions of individuals who understood the value of knowledge and its preservation. Cultural influence is also profound. The Templars' story, their secrecy, and their hidden knowledge continue to captivate literature, art, and popular imagination. From novels to documentaries, from historical research to speculative theories, the Order's impact endures, a testament to the combination of mystery, intellect, and human drama that defines their legacy. Yet beyond fascination, the Templars' work reminds us of the responsibilities that come with knowledge: to protect, to understand, and to act with courage and integrity. The legacy of the Templars also prompts reflection on the nature of secrecy and revelation. Their carefully constructed networks demonstrate that knowledge is never neutral. It is a responsibility, a test, and a gift. Codices, relics, architecture, and the seal were all designed to endure, but only for those capable of engaging with them thoughtfully and morally. In this sense, the Templars' hidden systems are not merely historical curiosities. They are enduring lessons about the intertwining of human intellect, faith, and ethical responsibility. Ultimately, the Templars' enduring legacy is a convergence of human ingenuity, moral responsibility, and spiritual devotion. Rome, with its hidden chambers, encoded architecture, relics, codices, and the enigmatic Vatican Seal, stands as a testament to the Order's vision, skill, and foresight. Their influence reminds us that history is layered, that knowledge can be protected across generations, and that courage and discipline are essential for those entrusted with preserving what is most precious. The Templars' legacy is not only in the objects they safeguarded, but in the principles they instilled, continuing to inspire curiosity, awe, and respect for the past. Even today, one cannot walk through Rome without sensing traces of this hidden world. A subtle alignment of columns, an unusual carving, a faint trace of light illuminating a forgotten symbol. These remnants of the Templars' ingenuity remind us that history is not merely a record of events, but a living dialogue between past and present, a challenge to engage with the world thoughtfully, reverently, and courageously. The Templars understood this, and their legacy endures as an invitation to do the same. As the tunnels of Rome fall silent once more, and the faint echoes of hidden chambers fade into the shadows, one is left with a profound sense of both closure and mystery. The Templars' world, with its codices, relics, rituals, and the Vatican Seal, has been revealed in fragments, yet much remains obscured, intentionally hidden across centuries. Their system was designed not merely to store knowledge, but to test those who sought it, to challenge intellect, character, and devotion simultaneously. The unanswered mysteries left behind are not failures. They are invitations, reminders that history is alive, layered, and constantly waiting for the vigilant to engage with it. Reflection on the Templars' hidden networks reveals a remarkable fusion of human ingenuity and spiritual insight. Their codices were not simple texts. They were intricate, multi-layered ciphers that combined art, mathematics, and sacred symbolism. Their relics were more than artifacts. They were active components of a system, designed to interact with architecture, celestial events, and ritual practice. Even the Vatican Seal, enigmatic and revered, was not merely an emblem of authority, but a key, both literal and symbolic, connecting the disparate elements of this hidden world into a coherent, enduring system. The Templars understood that knowledge is never inert. It is living, requiring care, understanding, and moral responsibility to preserve and unlock. Yet for all that has been uncovered, so much remains unresolved. Scholars, explorers, and curious minds have glimpsed only fragments of tunnels, codices, and relics. Architectural symbols and alignments hint at chambers still concealed, codices whisper of secrets still undeciphered, and the seal, enigmatic as ever, suggests pathways yet to be fully understood. These gaps are not disappointments. They are the Templars' design. Their network was intended to endure, to challenge, and to inspire those who come after, ensuring that only those patient, disciplined, and morally attuned could access the full depth of their genius. The emotional resonance of these mysteries is profound. One cannot study the Templars without sensing the weight of human courage, sacrifice, and devotion embedded in every codex, chamber, and relic. Knights devoted their lives to protecting these secrets, often facing persecution, betrayal, or death to ensure that knowledge endured. Their vigilance created a network not only of material protection but of ethical and spiritual continuity. To reflect on their work is to feel connected across centuries, to recognize that the preservation of knowledge demands more than intellect. It requires integrity, discipline, and faith. There is also an enduring sense of awe in confronting the Templar systems. Their integration of celestial observation, geometry, architecture, and ritual demonstrates a sophistication that continues to challenge modern understanding. The hidden architecture of Rome, from carefully aligned churches to subtle statues, transforms the city into a living codex, a map of interconnected knowledge waiting to be interpreted. The relics, codices, and the seal themselves are active components in this network, their significance unfolding only through disciplined observation and comprehension. In encountering these mysteries, we are reminded of the Templars' extraordinary vision and the breadth of human potential. The unanswered mysteries also invite contemplation about history itself. What other secrets might lie hidden beneath Rome or elsewhere in Europe, waiting for those capable of decoding them? The Templars' foresight suggests that knowledge is rarely lost. It is carefully concealed, encoded, and protected, ready to reveal itself to those prepared to engage with it thoughtfully. Their network teaches us that history is not a static record but a dynamic system, shaped by human intelligence, moral responsibility, and the passage of time. This final reflection underscores the enduring lesson of the Templars, that the pursuit of knowledge is inseparable from moral and spiritual responsibility. Codices, relics, rituals, and the seal were all tools to guide, protect, and test those entrusted with them. They remind us that information is not merely power, it is stewardship. The Templars' legacy endures because it combines intellectual brilliance with ethical accountability, ensuring that the past continues to teach, inspire, and challenge future generations. The unanswered mysteries also leave us with a sense of wonder. Even in the absence of complete revelation, the fragments that survive, the codices, relics, architectural markers, and tales of the seal, encourage curiosity and exploration. They challenge us to think critically, observe carefully, and act with both courage and care. The Templars' design was deliberate, to engage human intellect, test moral fiber, and elevate spiritual awareness. In this sense, the mysteries themselves are part of the revelation, a reminder that discovery is a journey as much as a destination. Ultimately, the Templars' hidden world is a testament to human creativity, devotion, and foresight. Their codices, relics, architecture, rituals, and the Vatican Seal converge into a system that transcends time, embodying lessons about responsibility, patience, and the careful preservation of knowledge. Though much remains hidden, the fragments we uncover reveal a civilization of extraordinary depth, intelligence, and moral purpose. The legacy of the Templars challenges us to reflect on our own engagement with history, knowledge, and the unseen forces that shape our understanding of the world. As we emerge from the shadows of Rome's hidden chambers, the final thought remains with us. What if these secrets, still largely concealed, could alter the way we see history, faith, and human ingenuity? The Templars' mysteries endure not because they are complete, but because they invite us to continue the journey, to observe, to question, and to seek understanding with patience, reverence, and courage. Their world may be hidden, but its lessons remain vividly alive, waiting for those willing to confront them. In this way, the Templars' hidden networks are not merely relics of the past. They are living reminders of the depth, complexity, and responsibility that knowledge demands. They challenge us to perceive history not as static, but as a continuum, where the past interacts with the present, and where human courage, intellect, and faith converge to create enduring legacy. And perhaps, in that reflection, we glimpse the true genius of the Templars, a vision that continues to resonate, inspire, and mystify centuries after their disappearance.